see the final score, we track the revenue stream. Welcome to the show that treats the sports world like the multi-billion-dollar business it is. We dissect the ownership deals, the television right battles, the NIL impact, and the media figures driving the entire narrative. From Wall Street to the locker room, we follow the money and the people who control the message. Welcome to Press Row, the business of sports, right here on the Empty the Bench Network. Now, here's your hosts, Callan McClurg and Nick Morgasen. Hello again, my friends. Happy Wednesday, and welcome into another edition of Press Row, taking you on a grand circle tour of all things sports business and sports media as we kick off another episode and another full day of World Cup action. We'll keep you posting on all the games going on over the course of the next 3 hours. He, of course, is Nick Morgasen. I'm Callan McClurg, joining you here this afternoon / midday morning on the West Coast, and, of course, a early afternoon out east. Mr. Morgasen, action-packed show again with some headlines up at the top of the show today. But what's good, my man? Great to see you as always. How we doing?
It's good. It's been a long, going all the way back to last weekend. We've been very busy trying to keep up with everything, but I'm hanging in there some way, shape, or form, and we're here. We're here to do a show. So a lot to get to, a lot of breaking news off the top, which we will get to you, including some WNBA stuff, which we will get to. But before we do all that, make sure you follow the show on social media at PressRowETB across Twitter, Instagram, and maybe some godly future TikTok. And if you want to follow the network at ETB Network across all social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, at ETB Network. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/ETB Network, and follow everything we're doing. 1,125 subscribers and counting. So please make sure you go like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, do your part, excuse me, to help us grow those numbers. We are very close to 2,500 watch hours. Excuse me. So please go check out everything we are doing. We got an incredible show, a lot. We're going to get into what Callan said, a lot of World Cup stuff. Including apparently Fox and ESPN going to war for some stupid reason. Also, Brendan Sorsby again. If you hadn't had enough, what? There's an update to the Brendan Sorsby situation, so we will get to that and discuss it. Also, what else we got coming up? We have
Kalshi being sued again in New Mexico this time.
Oh, what else is new? So we'll get into that. ESPN using AI images. He pretends to be shocked. NASCAR at the naval base in Coronado. What else we got here? Oh, people going after Victor Wembanyama and clickbait shaming. Gee, where have I heard that phrase before? Let's see. Peyton Manning's Omaha Productions taking over the World Series of Poker. If you had that on the bingo card, I seriously highly doubt that.
Yep.
Alex Morgan pulling no punches. The end of a tenure for a PA voice after 43 years, which you can relate to a little more than I can.
And CBC pulling the plug on hockey after 75 years.
Pretends to be shocked. Really. But boy, we got a heck of a show. Do we just want to start off the bat and just go
Yeah, folks, we will have this segment laying around in case that there's stuff that breaks before the show or what have you. But we do have a couple of stories that we want to get to right up the top of the show for hot off the press. Of course, Nick, the first big story, though, from Kareem Copeland of ESPN.com, that it appears that it has become official that beginning next season, the WNBA will, in fact, move to a 50-game regular season starting next season, up from the current 44-game model, as the footprint was allowed to expand underneath the new dynamic CBA deal that also increased pay vastly and secured a $2.2 billion media deal and slated six expansion franchises to join the league between 2024 and 2030. The new structure does extend the season's end to no later than the week of Thanksgiving next year and November 30th, starting in 2028, nearly a month behind the previous limit of Halloween Day. The league also has the option to bump it up further to a 52-game season beginning in 2029. Holy cow, Nick, what a jump we're making here.
Gee, pretends to be shocked. We all know what this is about. I could have told you that. I mean, I don't know if I know ESPN had put out a story. I don't know if that story has made it to the limelight yet, but we all know that when they made the new CBA deal, you didn't think they were going to extend the season. I mean,
of course they had to.
That sounds like master of the obvious, right? If you're going to pay these women more money, then more games have to be played to make up the revenue.
Right.
So am I really that surprised? No. Now, here's a statement for the WNBA communications I just came across. Demand for the WNBA has never been greater, and expanding to a 50-game regular season reflects the extraordinary momentum we're seeing across the league. This move reflects our commitment to growing the game and creating more opportunities for fans to watch the best players in the world and experience the extraordinary talent in competition that defines the WNBA. Oh, it's from our favorite commissioner of all time, Kathy Engelbert. Pretends to be shocked.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's basically saying, oh, well, we needed this. Did we need this? Did we?
I think when you add more teams, the season has to get longer. So I guess I kind of understand the logic, but still.
But I'm trying to figure out if this is a good move, a bad move. Is it going to affect the league? I don't know if this is a good move.
I mean, especially with the season now bumping them against the NBA regular season, and that now you're facing, Nick, a longstanding problem that a lot of these teams will be kicked out of their home arenas for potential playoff games to go play in colleges because now you're against the NBA calendar.
Which makes no sense to me whatsoever. So now you're making it even more difficult. If you thought the hockey was bad, where they were kicking teams out of their arenas to play, what's next?
Yeah.
But these owners are going to be greedy, and Kathy Engelbert's going to be greedy. So,
of course,
tell me where the stupidity is not shocking, because so far I haven't found anything.
I mean, I'm all for expanding the season, but now you're really asking for trouble now because, now in a way, Nick, and we saw this last season, though, too, with the Golden State Valkyries in their first ever WNBA season, and stupid logic of a former host. Oh, you got to fire the head coach after 8 games last year and blah, 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 blah. That they can't even host their first ever playoff home game at Chase Center because Joe Lacob and the arena booked tennis for 4 days, the weekend or the week of the potential first home playoff game in club history. And they had to move the game to San Jose, California, about 30 miles south. Come on now.
Well, it's all about the Benjamins. I told you that. It's all about money. They don't care if seasons collide and clash. Think about what just happened in New York, okay, where the NBA Finals, no team thinks that they're going to extend a full 7-game series. They had concerts planned on the day that they were going to do the watch parties, which that's a whole nother situation we could talk about, whether James Dolan did the right thing in a lot of regards.
With that, Nick, we'll move to the World Cup, though, and a big story brewing, though, involving sports betting on the World Cup, involving Ivory Coast young sensation Eli Wahe, the Ivory Coast star striker, who racked up 19 goals with the club in Nice, France, to help the French side avoid being relegated, is now being subjected, though, to a French investigation related to allegations of fixing offsides, per The Athletic early on Wednesday morning, noting that the 23-year-old superstar, back in late May, shortly after he scored 2 goals in Nice's victory over Saint Etienne to keep his side in the French league in the French League One, he was apprehended on suspicion of match fixing, with authorities looking into whether or not he deliberately earned a yellow card in a game against Metz back on May 17th. He then, though, traveled with the Ivory Coast to the U.S. for the World Cup and scored the goal for them to beat Ecuador on Sunday, as he also hit the bar in the second half. Nick, we've seen some weird match fixing ordeals, though, but nothing, I think, along these lines, though, that now it goes back about a full month.
I mean, here we go again with the gambling scandals. I mean, what do these athletes not understand? That you can't gamble on your own games. You can't do it. And by the way, if I find one more person in our, whether it's our network TikTok or anyone who says, well, Texas Tech has gone through this before, and Sorsby shouldn't be getting as big a punishment, or the soccer players should not be getting punishment. This is malarkey. Make it stop. You can't gamble on your sport. That's insider information. It is.
It is. And as we'll document here in a second, though, but one more quick story, though, Nick. One day after moving off of John Tortorella as the head coach of the Vegas Golden Knights, VGK has officially promoted their AHL affiliate head coach, Ryan Craig, to become the new head coach, as the 44-year-old Craig played for 8 NHL seasons with 3 different franchises. And then once his career ended in 2017, he transitioned to becoming a coach after his time playing the sport. So just a couple of quick headlines to get to over the course of the last couple of hours. And with that in mind, folks, they have just kicked off half number 2 down in Houston, with Portugal and Congo tied at 1 after one half of play from Houston Stadium. All right, Nick, to the other big story of the day to kick off the show today. No surprise, Nick, we go back to Brendan Sorsby. But, of course, Nick, in a staggering escalation of the collegiate betting saga, quarterback Brendan Sorsby officially bypassed further collegiate legal entanglements by declaring himself eligible for the upcoming NFL Supplemental Draft. This sudden maneuver follows a comprehensive lawsuit that would have been filed by the Big XII Conference, which sought to aggressively strip away his eligibility and also penalize Texas Tech University. His jump to the pro ranks leaves a wake of unresolved warfare regarding athlete data privacy and also conference governing authority when it comes to gambling, as we laid out, though, on Cranium on Tuesday. So, Nick, by declaring for the supplemental draft, though, mid-lawsuit, Sorsby essentially drops a nuclear bomb on the Big 12's legal strategy, but does this escape route set a dangerous precedent where elite college athletes can simply flee to the pros the moment a conference launches a integrity investigation of this kind of magnitude?
First of all, this is like coward. Like, I call Brendan Sorsby a coward. Yes. Because he got what he wanted. He got the injunction, right? So that he could compete for Texas Tech next season. Now, all of a sudden, because the Big 12 is filing a lawsuit, oh my God, I'm scared. I don't want to play anymore. I'm going to run to the NFL Supplemental Draft. First of all, the odds of being successful at the NFL Supplemental Draft are what?
Slim to none.
0. And people are saying, oh, well, he has a chance to be the highest drafted in the NFL Supplemental Draft. Who gives a shit? Who cares? If you're in the NFL Supplemental Draft, do you know what that means? That means you destroyed your career.
Yeah, normally it's reserved for people that have, problems in college with like their grades, stuff like this, or just other issues across the board. Yeah.
No, but it means you destroyed your career. You did something stupid of some sort. Whether you, like you said, if you didn't have the grades, or you did something off the field that you were not supposed to. I mean, Sorsby, he needs to go get help. I've said this for the whole time that we've been covering this story, that he's not cured. And if his lawyer is going to continue to say that 35 days is enough to be cured from a gambling addiction, he needs to go back to lawyer school and learn how the law works.
Nick, I grilled this topic on Tuesday night on Cranium, and I'm still going to try to get Brandon Sorsby onto the show when there's another Padre off day or an early game again, when his show is not on the air in the middays out here from 10 to 2 p.m. local time. But I'm pulling up my charts from last night, Nick, because I went and dug and tried to see where do all of these gambling things with Sorsby lay in the sand? Here they are. The legal filing and subsequent admissions outline a massive breach of bylaws 10.2 and 10.3 for gambling activity. So again, to reiterate again, folks, Brendan Sorsby admitted publicly to placing over 9,000 sports wagers totaling at least $90,000. More importantly, Morgasen, over a 4-year window. That tells me he was wagering freshman year, sophomore year, junior year, and his senior year before he got his 5th year across college and pro sports to deliberately evade automated casino compliance and also geofencing by the NCAA. Sorsby would utilize betting accounts registered underneath the names of family and friends, which violates basic student athlete codes of conduct.
I mean, we're not saying anything out of the ordinary here. I mean, what is the one rule they teach you as a college athlete when you go in and you get a scholarship or you get an NIL deal? Don't gamble on your own team. To be honest, the rule should be you're not allowed to gamble on anything as a college athlete.
And by the way, this is what was staggering, and that what kind of floored me last night. Now, piece this together here, Nick. Between the date range of September 2nd and October 22nd of 2022, as the redshirt freshman backup QB at Indiana University, Brendan Sorsby places at least 40 discrete wagers directly on Hoosier football games and also individual player props. But his wagers stop 2 weeks before he plays his first game against Penn State that same season. Why is this not a problem, people?
First of all, why did it take 3 years for it to come out? That's another issue I have going on with some people who are incredibly dumb. And usually I don't like to insult people's intelligence, but there are people on our social medias, on our network accounts, on everything that are saying, the Callan doesn't know football. And I'm like, what? And I'm like, I'm going to lay this out to the peanut-brained people who comment on our network accounts on TikTok. Callan's worked in college athletics for, 16 years, 17 years?
Almost 15 years in total.
Okay. So you've been around more college athletics than the average person has been around when it comes to the college athlete.
Across D2 and Division I, too.
So Callan probably knows these rules better than most people do when it comes to the gambling agreements or the ones that they sign. But I just find it laughable that people don't understand the rules. That when you're a college athlete, you sign up.
They're right here. They are right here.
When you sign up to be a college athlete, you need to realize you can't bet on your own team. You have insider information. You are in the room. You have information that the average bettor does not have.
Correct.
So that's why you can't make a bet. Some people are dumb. And I get it. I know we're dealing with the world of social media, but for someone to say, "Oh, you don't know football," just because you don't watch football doesn't mean you haven't dealt with college football.
Exactly, and I do at the 1AA level out here.
And you know the rules, and even I know the rules. Now, I never worked in college sports, but I know for a fact that college athletes sign agreements when they enter the campus. And it says, "Hey, number one," it's probably at the top of the list or almost at the top of the list.
Well, sometimes depending on what kind of religious school you go to, as I worked at 2 of them, one of them is a no alcohol, no smoking policy, one that you sign, and then it's also the wagering stuff too.
Okay, that makes sense. But my point is, you can't bet on your own team. I don't care if it's mental health related. I don't care if it's a personal situation. Follow the rules.
Exactly.
It's that simple. And Brendan Sorsby doesn't deserve to play football anymore at all. And if a team is dumb enough to draft him, what did I tell you last night when you made that joke on Cranium?
Yeah.
If the Jets go anywhere near this guy, I'm going to be insufferable for a week.
Which, by the way, folks, that actually is that any pick that you make in the supplemental draft also cost you a future pick. So like you'd be spending future capital to draft somebody in this draft in case anyone forgot about that.
And I'm going to say this again for the millionth time. What are the odds that somebody from the supplemental draft actually pans out?
Well, I pulled up a list, but it's very far few and in between.
I can't even think of a big name that's come from the supplemental draft.
Well, here's our list. Chris Carter.
Okay, he's a Hall of Famer. Okay.
4th round in 87 by the Eagles. Carter was an All-American at The Ohio State, but was caught signing with a sports agent and accepting secret cash payments before his senior season. Because this explicitly violated the NCAA amateurism rules at the time, he was ruled ineligible permanently and forced him into the supplemental draft. 130 touchdowns and earned a spot in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, primarily with Minnesota. Bernie Kosar, legendary quarterback for the Browns in 85. Kosar pulled off a highly calculated legendary loophole maneuver. He wanted to play for Cleveland, his hometown franchise, who held the number 1 pick in the supplemental draft, but the Buffalo Bills held the number 1 overall pick in the regular draft. Kosar purposely delayed filing his graduation paperwork until days after the April draft deadline passed, making him ineligible for the spring draft, but became the prized jewel of the summer draft, though, for Cleveland, which he led them to 3 AFC title games and became a beloved franchise icon. Also notable, Terrell Pryor, 2011 with the Oakland Raiders.
Who didn't work out.
Pryor was epicenter of Ohio State's infamous Tattoo Gate scandal, not Maurice Claret, so my apologies for getting that wrong, where players traded in jerseys and memorabilia for tattoos, facing a stiff 5-game suspension from the NCAA and also Jim Tressel resigning. Pryor decided to leave the Buckeyes behind and head right to the pros and was picked by the Raiders. Josh Gordon in 2012. After his breakout campaign at Baylor, Gordon failed a team drug test, positive test for marijuana, and was suspended indefinitely and transferred to Utah, but sat out a year and chose to enter the supplemental draft rather than risk running out of college eligibility or remain suspended. He was, again, a superstar, though, in 2013 with over 1,600 receiving yards, but was derailed again by league suspensions for marijuana usage and drug abuse. And finally, Jalen Thompson was the last one made in 2019 as the Wazoo safety lost his final year of eligibility after accidentally purchasing an over-the-counter supplement from a local nutrition store that contained a substance that was banned by the NCAA. He is notable for being the last player picked in this draft. So, of course, the question, though, Nick, does Brendan Sorsby have a chance? Not only does he have one, but Sorsby is currently tracking to be the most highly anticipated and highest drafted supplemental prospect in numerous decades. But again, there is no way that any franchise, Nick, it's bad, as I said. I said this on Tuesday. If Todd Monken, who coaches one of the dumbest, idiotic, poorly run NFL franchises in Cleveland, Ohio, even dumbass over here knows that, says if anyone drafts him, it's a slippery slope if you do. That should tell you everything that you need to know about this whole entire case.
I just don't get this. Like, we're talking about Pete Rose in the modern day era. What Brandon Sorsby did.
Terry Rozier.
Well, put those aside because we can compare those in a second. But we're talking about the modern day Pete Rose. He was betting on over-unders on yardage. He was betting negatively, I think, against his team, if I'm not mistaken either. But $90,000 in bets. This is not, I decided to throw a few bucks on a bet. He was sharing an account with family members, and they were not using his name, so they thought they would get around the system and not get caught. That's the problem, people. He was trying to hide it.
Yep.
He was really trying to hide it.
And did a terrible job of doing so.
And you know what? If I was the UFL, if I was the CFL, if I was the Indoor Football League, I would stay far away from Brendan Sorsby. And I hope his lawyers are listening, and I hope they say to me, you're ruining my reputation, and you're slandering me. Dude, you deserve to be slandered. You're an idiot.
Yeah, I mean, I know that being a defense attorney is one thing, but you're also defending a crook, though, when it comes to college athletics, who still owes his old employer, by the way, $1 million. Pay up.
I saw a report, and I forgot if I put it in our press row. I did. Okay, so On3 broke something earlier about, I want to say like an hour or two ago, that said this was new information that Brandon Sorsby's agent, Ron Slavin, claims Cincinnati knew about the gambling addiction and didn't take action. Seriously?
Well, and if that turns out to be true, then shame on them too, along with Texas Tech.
The quote says, if anybody should be questioned or catching heat, it should be Cincinnati, because they knew for 2 years and never said anything or didn't do anything about it. That's part of the story that gets lost.
Well, again, if that's the case, then they should be held liable too, much like TTU. How about that?
This whole thing is a disaster. Okay?
It's not something, folks, that you can sweep underneath the rug in college athletics, and don't blame his age or, mental health, cry me a river. It doesn't matter. If this would have went through and he was allowed to play, that would have been the first time ever in any American sports league, college or the pros, that somebody who wagered on games was allowed to compete after being caught doing so.
But I do have a problem with this statement, because you're his agent. You're throwing Cincinnati under the bus. What about Texas Tech?
Yeah, why are they being, exonerated here?
And Texas Tech is going to bat. They were going to bat for him like they were like full fanboy supporter over here.
Pretty much.
But I can't remember his lawyer's name because I'm like
Jordan Kessel, I believe is his name.
Kessler.
Yeah, Kessler. Yeah.
His lawyer, Kessler, is continually a quack. Okay?
Quack.
Who continues to say, oh, well, they're not defending us and it's hurting his mental health and blah, blah. Dude, you did it to yourself, man. Brandon Sorsby screwed over Brandon Sorsby.
I feel like I heard that somewhere over the past couple days. That last line you said.
But tell me where I'm wrong, though.
Tell me where I'm wrong. I'm the one who said the damn line. Yes. I mean, this is all self-inflicted mistakes and self-inflicted wounds here that you cannot overcome.
And I'm getting tired of people saying, oh, he should be given a second chance. For what? You broke the cardinal sin as a college athlete. I mean, the only other thing that would have been worse is if he murdered somebody.
Yeah.
Because he'd be in jail, literally. Or go ask Sharon Moore how that's working out right now.
Yeah, no kidding.
My point is that he doesn't deserve any more chances. None. Zero. It's over. And every league should say, when he comes knocking, it says, give me a job, please. I need one. The answer is no, moron. We don't trust you that you're not going to go back to gambling addiction again.
Yeah, I mean, and to use a point that Nick brings up, we could say that all of the leagues are in bed with the gambling partners, but even then, they're not going to take, the proverbial gamble, Nick, on a guy who has this track record already on his resume.
And you know what's funny? And I can't remember, I think it was Nick D who brought it up on a show, that they don't say anything until the losses have already happened.
Right.
You notice that, right?
Yeah.
If they're winning, they don't say shit.
You mean it's win-loss behavior?
Well, in a different sense when it comes to losing
It's
money.
win-loss behavior?
A little bit, but not in the way you're thinking of it. But my point is, it only came out and it was reported to the NCAA after he lost the $90,000 in bets.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let me take that back. We don't know how much he's won or lost. We just know that he made $90,000.
We just knew that he wagered $90K over 4 years.
All right, let me be careful with that because I don't know what he's won and what he's lost. I don't know if we're ever going to know. My guess is that he's probably lost more than won. Otherwise, it wouldn't have come out this way.
I mean, especially if the other paper trail is that he was asking friends for, or friends would send him money, or he would be sending money to
Venmo.
family and friends. Yeah,
Venmo.
via Venmo.
And he was using FanDuel. That's, first of all, talk about stupid gambler, knowing that you're in college football. You don't think FanDuel was going to report the fact that I guess, semi-prominent name in college football was betting against their own teams?
Yeah.
I mean, the NCAA, for a change, was actually doing the right thing. But the stupid law system, and because there's two things more, and then we can move on from this, is what were the 4 judges in the case for the injunction?
Graduates of the Law School of Texas Tech University in Lubbock.
I'm sorry, that screams conflict of interest. What? Conflict of interest. How is that allowed?
Because in Texas it goes football, faith, family, and then break the law.
I don't care what the rules are, to be honest. I mean, I don't care what the string of importance is. My point is, those 4 judges should be fired, by the way, in my opinion, because they're breaking their
Code of
oaths,
ethics.
their code of ethics or oaths of working in the court system. And the other thing, that dopey video, which,
oh God, yes.
now, we would play it, but it's long. Maybe you and I will do a what do they call those type of videos? Like a playthrough.
Yeah.
And because some of it was probably the most laughable I've ever heard in my life, including, I can't remember who the guy was. I think it was the AD who blamed that we have gambling apps on our phone. And the way he said it, well, guys like Brendan Sorsby, they have gambling apparatuses in their pocket. First of all, who the hell says betting apparatus? And that's your excuse? Oh, because I have a gambling app in my pocket, then he should be allowed to do it? Help me, because I don't. The ignorance is at a high level.
Oh yeah, I mean it's a thing where people are turning their nose up like it's a nothing burger. It is absolutely not a nothing burger, as I said on Tuesday, folks, because this could have in a way had massive ramifications, not just for Red Raider football. I will go back to my point from last Tuesday and this past Tuesday. This could have, though, Nick, ravaged all of Red Raider athletics if this would have gone through with him playing. Not just football. I'm talking about everything else that I care about and no one else does.
I'm just going back to the comments because I think some of these are kind of ridiculous. I'm looking at them here. And someone said, give me a break. Texas Longhorns had the same issue a few years back and no athlete was ineligible. So basically what you're saying is because the NCAA was stupid once, they should be able to get away with it again, is basically what they're saying.
Or is it favoritism towards a bigger known brand like the Longhorns?
Someone else wrote, stick to talking about cooking if you don't understand football. What did you say wrong? I don't understand.
I have no idea.
The one comment that made sense on this whole thing, Pete Rose of NCAA football, not a good look. That's the smartest comment I've seen on here.
And that was literally, Nick, I think the point that we were making in some capacity is that, Pete Rose never came back to baseball after he got suspended. Neither is Terry Rozier, neither did Jonte Porter.
And the thing is, people say, oh, but Brandon Sorsby was coming back. Yes, because it was a technicality because the judges were graduates of Texas Tech.
Correct.
If those judges are not Texas Tech, I guarantee you he doesn't get the injunction.
Oh, yeah. If it's somewhere else, if it's not in Lubbock County, no way.
My point is, Brandon Sorsby is the dumbest athlete of all time when it comes to sports betting. And unfortunately, now he's got to live with it. And on top of it, here's another one. If he believed in himself wholeheartedly that he deserved to be back in college football, why did you give up your injunction and why did you go to the supplemental draft?
And why have you still not paid the Bearcats back their $1 million?
Well, put that to the side for a second. But because you're right, but put that to the side. If you believe in your heart of hearts that you deserve another chance, why did you all of a sudden go running away and to the supplemental draft? Why?
Yeah.
I'll leave it right there because I want everybody to stew on that and think about it. But if you believed that you had a chance still, you shouldn't have run off to the supplemental draft.
Exactly.
Case in point.
All right, Nick, from one betting issue to another one involving another state going to war with Kalshi as the federal battle over sports event betting has turned toxic, as the CFTC, or the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, is now finalizing plans to sue the state of New Mexico in federal court to prevent state regulators from blocking sports event financial contracts. This federal offensive lands as a direct retaliation to New Mexico filing a major lawsuit against Kalshi in their state courts back on June the 4th, creating a massive, intense state versus federal showdown over who actually controls the boundaries of sports wagering for financing. But Nick, if the CFTC successfully blocks New Mexico from protecting its local state gaming laws against Kalshi's financial index betting, are we looking at the total federalization of sports gambling regulation, effectively stripping state boards of their historical gatekeeping power of allowing wagering in their states, good, bad, ugly, or indifferent?
So now we're getting into the BS argument of country versus state when it comes to laws. If a state doesn't want certain gambling books or certain rules, who is the CFTC to step in and say, no, you can't do that? You can't do that.
No, I mean, the law of the land
Ridiculous.
of yeah, I mean, I would think, Nick, that this has to be what the state wants to do. And you're talking to a member of your network who lives in a state where you say the word gambling out here. As I always make the joke, it's like it's a death sentence out here because there is no proper way for anyone in California, you know, whatever it is, to actually put wagers on sports, whether you have to play underdog or prize picks, or, as I always love to make the joke, that that the roulette wheel here has cards, not a ball and space where the ball can land. You have to play, a different style of blackjack out here. You have to play a different form of roulette out here. You can't do certain things. And the only legal wagering out here, Nick, is on horse racing. No more, no less.
But looking at this from a larger distance point of view, obviously, because I'm nowhere near New Mexico, but all the way out here in New York, where we dealt with strict gaming laws for a while.
And I think New Mexico has kind of had similar laws, much like a lot of the Southwest states, Nick, because they all rely on tribal gaming. As I make the joke all the time of the Family Guy episode, there's no, I forgot what the Flintstone line was, vote no on Indian gaming laws.
Yes.
But that's where a lot of the revenue does go in California, even in Arizona and in New Mexico, is they all rely usually on people going to Sequan, Viejas, Valley View, Hamul, all of the Indian tribes who have casinos. That's where they all make their revenue, is from, Joe Schmo making the long drive out there to go play California roulette or California blackjack. And I kind of, again, understand this because I've lived out here my whole life, about that sort of, that now in a way it feels like you're getting a little bit caught up in the weeds now about, what the feds want, what the state should want. I still think that the state should be allowed to control whatever they want to control within the boundaries of their state.
I just don't. So here's the question I have, because this is confusing to me. The Gaming Commission, or the CFTC, aren't they just supposed to regulate everything? Why are they jumping in and suing states?
Yeah, I don't like the overreach here whatsoever. I don't get it.
And I'm trying to just look this up, but for the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, that their job is to regulate. Their job is not to get in the middle and say, oh, well, a state decided they don't want Kalshi in their state, and now they're suing New Mexico? The hell is that?
Yeah, which is weird, Nick, because, California all of a sudden has rolled out Kalshi and Poly Market. That, I've seen their ads during Ducks games, for example, and the Padres have a deal with Prize Picks or whatever, and, things like that. But also, it's a very weird catch-22, Nick, that, DraftKings and FanDuel are like forbidden out here. Though we'll talk more about DraftKings a bit later in the show when it comes to Alex Morgan. But, that my home state, though, has been, so not with the times. I say that nicely, when it comes to it, but that they'll allow Kalshi to come into the state, or Poly Market, or they'll regulate Underdog and Prize Picks, but they won't actually, take the shackles off when it comes to actual sports wagering, where, again, their excuse has always been about tribal gaming. Like, I get it, but this is not 1980s. This is not the 1980s where you have to rely on on Indian casinos anymore.
So I'm reading a Yahoo Finance article, which kind of broke down the takeaways of what is happening here.
Yeah.
The CFTC sued New Mexico, arguing federally regulated prediction markets fall under its exclusive authority and cannot be regulated as gambling by the state. What the hell are you talking about?
Yeah, that's kind of weird.
Gambling is by state, not by country. And if certain states don't want to regulate gambling, that's their choice. Hello, California.
Hi.
I mean, New York for the longest period of time didn't allow a lot of the online gambling stuff. But the lawsuit follows New Mexico's legal action against Kalshi, which the state says it is illegally offering online sports betting. The dispute is part of a broader national battle with the CFTC and prediction market operators fighting state and tribal efforts to regulate or restrict prediction markets. If you don't want prediction markets, it's the state's choice, damn it.
Yeah, but I still think, at least out here, that the tribes still get a say when it comes to gambling, at least out here in California. I don't know about I don't know about New Mexico, because laws change by state where you go, but I just know for my own sake out here living in San Diego and in California that it's more about tribal gaming.
But I don't understand why the CFTC is stepping in and suing states.
Yeah, that part makes no sense, though, and maybe we'll get some more clarity as the week goes on, but definitely a story, Nick, I think we'll be keeping an eye on, because if this spills out to more states being sued, we have a massive issue on our hand if that happens.
So this also says, quote, New Mexico is the latest state seeking to nullify black letter law and decades of judicial precedent by imposing state gaming laws on federally regulated derivatives, exchanges subject to CFTC's exclusive jurisdiction. Okay. I need to point out one thing.
Yeah.
So these prediction markets, which they claim are federally regulated, they're not regulated.
I mean, I was going to say, look at what happened to us with Novik.
Well, that's a different issue. But my point is, prediction markets are not regulated.
Right.
Think of it as cryptocurrency. For the longest time, cryptocurrency, and still really isn't technically regulated. Why do you think everyone goes crazy with cryptocurrency?
Right.
Because there's value, which there is, but there's no way to regulate it from a taxable standpoint. And I think that's part of the issue here. You can make dopey bets on the weather and celebrities and all this dumb shit, and there's no way to regulate it. D-Mart making a bet on Cardi B dancing in the background of the Super Bowl halftime show.
Right.
They claim that it wasn't. We saw her on screen, didn't we? I mean,
and then we heard their CEO be a damn dumbass on MSNBC on the Squawk Box.
We covered it because it was such a ridiculous thing. Oh well, if you're around, who was the
Bad
singer
Bunny
again? Bad Bunny. Sorry, I wasn't insulting. I just couldn't remember. But do you remember they said, oh, if Bad Bunny's around people, technically anyone's allowed to give information to whoever they want. I'm sorry, that's insider information. That's
a foul.
It's a foul. Like,
it's a yellow card.
Yeah. Like, there's no regulation. The CFTC is claiming there's federal regulation. There is no federal regulation. Think about what DraftKings, when you saw the ads like on ESPN, because they have a deal with ESPN, it used to be DraftKings Sportsbook.
Now it's just DraftKings, it looks like.
No, it's DraftKings Sports.
Yeah.
Because they are now regulating prediction markets in all 50 states, which means technically if you wanted to go on DraftKings in California, you technically could through a prediction market portion.
Sorry, I work in college sports. Don't at me.
No, I get it. My point is that they're getting around the law. Again, this is the same conversation we had when the whole predictions market situation came out. There's no way to control it.
Oh, you mean this?
Stop breaking the law, asshole!
Well, yeah, there's no way to control that. There's no way to control this. So there's too much technicality in prediction markets.
By the way, quick update from the World Cup. Portugal remains tied with Congo, who's beaten Ebola to get to the tournament 1-1 still in the 80th minute of play from Houston.
So less than 10 minutes to go, right?
Yes, plus time. With that, Nick, last story for hour one. Back to golf icon Phil Mickelson, as we reported last week, was banned from an elite San Diego area golf course following an internal investigation into his personal conduct. Golf course management from the country club did enact that the immediate ban happened after a female employee reported that Mickelson made a series of highly inappropriate and unwanted physical advances and verbal advances towards her while visiting the property, marking a severe localized scandal from a San Diego native and his recent downfall involving gambling scandals and blowback, Nick. But with a prominent country club, though, in his own hometown issuing a outright ban over the harassment of an employee, does this personal misconduct cross a brand line that corporate sponsors and country clubs can no longer look past about Phil Mickelson and his own reputation?
Because he's a raw pain in the ass.
That's my thoughts on Phil Mickelson right now. I mean, we started to talk about this when it broke last week.
Yeah.
If this is true, because again, we don't have full confirmation of this. If you work in the industries like we do, you do your homework until you get the official confirmation of the story. If this is true, then he might need to go like away for good. And I don't know if it has to do with because I'm Phil Mickelson and I can do whatever I want and I can break all the rules and it's essentially my country club and I can do whatever I want. I don't get this why athletes or celebrities feel like sometimes they can do whatever they want when they're in public places.
Nick, I think what's more jarring about this whole thing, and it just came to me, we have watched the downfall of two golfing giants, Phil and Tiger Woods, all happen in front of our eyes over the last several years.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
I mean, between what Tiger has gone through involving the injuries, the numerous DUIs and, his own tabloid issues, with headlines about his marital affairs. Phil Mickelson, another great decorated golfer, but of course, gambling, insider information, leaving for LIV, the way that he left the PGA Tour, some of his media commentary that I think, really set the golf world on fire. Now this happens, Nick, in his own backyard, in San Diego, where, again, he's a legend here for golf in this city. His brother coached our golf team at USD for several years. And I think that him and his foundation even gave the school a gift to build a new golf practice facility on the campus. Like, all of a sudden, Nick, two of the most notable golfers that everybody seemed to love when they played on the course are now, in a way, Nick, just pissing away what's left of their integrity, their reputation, and their career for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah. I mean, you pretty much said it all well there. Phil Mickelson has had his issues before. We've talked about it where he had the gambling situation with the bookie who I think he was in jail and then he wrote the book and the whole thing. He's gambled like $15 to $20 million and gone in debt. And
there was that. There was how he left the PGA and it broke Golf Channel when that happened.
Oh, well, he burned the bridge between him and the PGA Tour. I don't think he'll ever be welcome back to any PGA Tour event whatsoever, except for the majors, which are not run by the PGA Tour.
Right. They're all separate entities, yeah.
But Phil Mickelson has a problem. One, I think the power went to his head.
Yep.
Two, I think that he just said, I'm Phil Mickelson. I can, essentially, I'm above the law, in a lot of regards. Like, this is assault if this is proven to be true. And if it's true, shame on Phil Mickelson. He should lose all his sponsors. Like Tiger Woods lost all his sponsors when he went through the whole cheating scandal and was apparently like in hotel rooms with a bunch of women. And think about it. Tiger Woods lost everything.
Oh, yeah. And this latest DUI should be the nail in the coffin for his golf career, sadly.
And I think Nike went away for a while from Tiger before eventually came back. And then Tiger Woods eventually said, screw you, Nike. I don't need you anymore. Which,
yep.
I mean, he technically does. First of all, he doesn't need any sponsors anymore, to be honest. Tiger was one of the first billionaire athletes to grace the presence of the screen. Him and I think Roger and I think Michael Jordan.
Yep.
Those three have made more than enough money than they can print. But Phil's got to go away and get some mental health help at this point.
All right, Nick, commercial break time as we get ready for the weekly update, but floor's all yours.
We're going to talk about the World Cup. Empty the Pitch has gotten off to a good start. We have another live stream coming up, I think Friday during the day, because it's a early afternoon match. 3 p.m. Eastern time kickoff. Wow, that's early. At least for out there.
They're the first game of the day.
So we'll get into that. But the world has arrived for the 39-day global spectacle that is the FIFA World Cup. And ETB has you covered with the best coverage of the beautiful game as Callan, McClurg, and Trevor Williams bring you Empty the Pitch with in-depth coverage of the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Join the fellas this Friday for their next post-match show following the U.S. men's national team's match against Australia, 3 p.m. Eastern time kickoff, only on the Empty the Bench Network. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/ETB Network, to find out more. And also, don't miss Empty the Pitch, the weekly show on Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific. Easy for me to say. But check them out. That's where they recap the entire week. So the way it works is you get the stream, whatever the U.S. men's national team game is, and then you get the full recap of everything. I'm sure the Messi hat trick will make it into.
Oh, you better believe it, baby.
By the way, I think he's one of the oldest to have a hat trick at the World Cup. I was reading.
And next game he plays, he will surpass, I forget the guy for Germany, for the most goals scored in World Cup history with 17 goals when he scores his next goal coming up next match.
What is this, his 7th World Cup?
I think it's his 6th.
Oh. I could see him playing at 43. I really do.
I mean, if he keeps himself in shape and the way that he's been playing, absolutely. But with that, Nick, we'll get to a recap of last week and a full ETB Network weekly update. We survived, my friend. I don't know how, but we did. I mean, I got through 6 days of content last week, and I'm still kind of picking up the pieces over here.
And I didn't sleep much of last week either, because I had to make sure everything for you guys was running and everything else was running. But Empty the Pitch is officially off and running now after the first full week. The views were good. The live stream was good. I think there was over or close to 600 people that watched that live.
The first Team USA recap against Paraguay. Maybe the numbers will be better on Friday with the game being in the afternoon and not late in the evening. We'll see.
But yeah, we'll have that. Tough Enough, the Ultimate Fighter show, back for season 3. That episode, the UFC had a screw up for the first week. And Zan actually found out that they forgot to put him on the list for the first screener of the first episode. That's why he didn't get it. Now he's back on the list. But I really shouldn't have said that. Anyway, my point is that they are now going to watch episode 2, and we're going to do. There's going to be 2 recaps technically this week, but going forward, they will be 1 every week, just because of the way the scheduling worked out. It probably had to do with the White House card.
I would think it would, yeah.
Which, by the way, that was madness trying to get through all the coverage of that. Tom and Zan did a really good job doing the pre-show on Saturday, which got a lot of views. And then on Sunday, the post-fight show, I should say, had over 1,000 people watching it live. So we had a really good weekend of that coverage. Like I said, Empty the Pitch was good. What else did we have? throughout the weekend. Did we have much else? I'm trying to think.
Not that I can recall, because everything is like colliding like it's a 5-car pileup on the freeway.
But now we're kind of in a situation in the sports calendar where
Oh, we had the end of the NBA Finals happen, and you and Johnny did a phenomenal job with all the NBA Finals coverage and the recap of all the games.
Yeah, there was that. Oh, that was on Saturday. So Saturday was the longest day of content we've had in quite a long time. So thank you to everybody that tuned in and watched. But now we're kind of in that awkward time of the calendar where the NBA Finals are over, the Stanley Cup Finals are over. It's baseball, the World Cup, UFC. And I'm trying to think, and whatever news breaks. I mean, NFL training camps are going to open soon, believe it or not. Which we'll go over that in a couple weeks. But because the content schedule, if you thought it was busy now, just wait till all the NFL.
It's coming.
You're going to have content coming out of your gills. So, yeah, this is kind of a little bit of a more quiet period for about 2 or 3 weeks. And then it all picks up the full force all the way through the end of the year. So make sure you tune in. Go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/ETB Network. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Help us continue to grow those watch hours as we get very close to 2,500. Working towards 4,000. Working towards a potential partnership down the road, which I can't really talk about right now. But just do your part and help us out. It helps. Just watch. And thank you to the 148 people that are watching right now. Gladly appreciated. If you're watching on X platforms, go over to our YouTube channel. As I said, youtube.com/ETB Network. And go hit the subscribe button and the like button, all that stuff, so we can bring you more and more. What don't you understand about more content? Anything else you want to add before? Because we still have like a minute or two before the next hour.
No, again, thank you to everyone, though, who tuned in to watch ETP kick off our coverage of the World Cup with the preview show, the first recap of Team USA's win over Paraguay, and our first live show last Saturday. Great to get some people that did subscribe, though, right in their commentary during the course of the evening. Even on Saturday when we had our first morning get-together to recap the Mexico game, Team USA's game, and what have you. And so much great stuff there. By the way, they are still tied at 1 with about 2 minutes left to play in stoppage time. So
yeah.
We might be having ourselves our first draw of the day. So here we go again.
Oh, no, draw! By the way, I'm seeing some news here that the Dreams matchup against the Aces on August 3rd has already been moved.
Really?
State Farm Arena.
Oh.
For Barbie Game Day celebration.
Okay.
The first 10,000 fans will receive a rally towel. Yes!
Oh,
rally towels!
Yes! The Wee Woo towel needs to come back when we get to 3,000 watch hours.
That's a good tease. So help us get to 3,000 watch hours. You get what you deserve. But yeah, just as we continue to do stuff, just like, comment, subscribe, follow. You know the deal. As we have more and more content down the pipeline that's making its way to the forefront. We might even, I know, like, we changed ETB Lounge from 8 to 11 to 9 to 11. If we get to 3,000 watch hours, maybe we'll do a bonus hour.
And we think you're going to like it with the format that we're thinking of doing.
It has to do with a certain idea we were going to do separately, but maybe we'll do it this way if everything works out. And now it's not going to be like it, but think Barstool. Barstool did an idea like this, but we have a twist on it that'll make people actually use their brains. Yes, I know that's a novel concept around here that we actually have to find our way out of. What do they call those? Escape rooms.
Yes.
I've never done an escape room before. Have you?
No, I've not. I've wanted to, but I haven't yet.
I feel like that you actually need to be much smarter to handle an escape room than most people think.
I think it's also funny that whenever you finish the room, whether you get out or you don't, you have to hold up assumptions that you won or lost.
Wait, seriously?
Yeah, at least some of the photos I've seen from people that have done them, like, "Hey, we got out," or "We lost, we suck."
I had no idea that was the case. Wait, see, now I got to go join his chamber. Oh God, what?
It's a draw.
Yes.
Final score: Portugal and Congo finishing a 1-1 tie from Houston. So the day is off to a beautiful start with ties.
Are we just going to remember the 2026 World Cup as the cup of draws?
I hope not. Honestly, I really hope not.
All right. Hour number 2 officially starts now. And speaking of the World Cup,
Yes.
Fox Sports hits historic milestone with a mind-boggling 24.86 million viewers for the U.S. men's national team match. Domestic soccer viewership has officially crossed into an entirely new stratosphere. The U.S. men's national team dramatic World Cup clash against Paraguay pulled in an unprecedented combined audience of 24.86 million viewers. Fox Sports, Fox One, and Tubi, which is a digital platform of Fox, anchored the record-shattering English language delivery with 15.986 million viewers, while Telemundo and Peacock generated an earth-shattering 8.9 million viewers on the Spanish language side, setting a new benchmark for soccer interest in the United States. We've spent years debating whether soccer would ever truly arrive as a premier Tier 1 TV property in America, with nearly 25 million people locking into a group stage match. Does these numbers explosion prove that a home soil World Cup completely erases the historical viewership gap between soccer and legacy American sports?
I mean, you know what I'm going to say, because I'm one of the only real soccer fans around here, along with Trevor. But I also think, Nick, that yes, the home soil World Cup, Canada, the U.S. and Mexico does, I think, help, because you're not having to get up at, like sometimes that Trevor and I will do. You don't have to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to watch your European, your EPL team play, for example, or your Bundesliga team play in Germany. That is a advantage that I think that Fox will have with every single game of the World Cup, including last night, that people got to see Lionel Messi get that hat trick in prime time from KC on Tuesday night. That it wasn't, at 3 a.m. Pacific time or 7:30 a.m. Pacific time or what have you. That that this is only, I think, the starting point. I think now, obviously, there's been a lot of vitriol towards the Alexi Lawless led broadcast team because of how Lawless has been towards Zlatan and Thierry Henry and what have you, and the hydration breaks, and it's basically trying to Americanize the product out there for non-soccer fans out there. I think that is a fair point, with the simple notion again that this is a home soil World Cup for the first time in 32 years. But I also think, though, Nick, that even if you're not a big soccer fan or supporter, I think that the prospect of Team USA as a whole, though, with how young the roster is, and that now these guys are almost household names like Pulisic and Balogun and all those guys, that America obviously loves like the underdog story. Like we love the 1980 Miracle on Ice team, or even this year with both of the hockey teams winning gold in the Olympic Games. That you always want to look for a team that is scrappy and that represents the American spirit, though, of, bringing your lunch pail to work every day and grinding it out on the pitch and on the fields of play. But I also think that the main advantage, Nick, you're in your own backyard. You don't have to, you're not playing in South America. You're not playing in Europe. You're not playing in Australia. That the game times, I think, is in fact what has helped out with getting people to watch the product on the field for Team USA.
Yeah, I mean, one, it helps that it's an international product and that everyone can find it, and it's available on many platforms. And when we get to the whole nightmare that is Fox versus ESPN, we can talk about how stupid that is. But I think people love watching their country compete for solidarity when it comes to, can our country outduel everybody? And of course, we could talk about how the World Cup, the political nonsense and fight for political freedom and all this nonsense.
Ticket prices, hotels, what have you.
The ghost ticket issue that we were talking about last night. You know what? You don't have to be there in person to enjoy the World Cup.
Hell no. I've watched every single match so far of this tournament, maybe minus the Portugal match because we're on the air. I'm going to miss the first half of my other beloved side of England playing Croatia, who has some of the best uniforms in the entire tournament, by the way, for those that don't know about that, coming up at 1 o'clock.
But the viewership makes total sense because everyone wants to watch their own country compete in this format. Think about the Olympics. Why do you think the Olympics does hundreds of millions of views? People tune in to watch their own country. They want to see their own countrymen compete. It's not like the professional sports that we see here in the U.S. where you're going to watch your one team that you root for, and that's it, if you're that type of fan. But to say, what was the exact question, though? Does the numbers explosion prove that the home soil World Cup completely erases the historical viewership gap? I would say soccer's doing better than some American legacy sports. Like the World Cup is going to blow out
the Super Bowl.
Well, I don't know about the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl is always the pinnacle of the top, but because I think we get 150 million viewers here in the U.S. for the Super Bowl.
I mean, I would think that, and that's just not me, crapping on American football, but, let's say that Lionel Messi and Argentina go back to the final this year in New Jersey. I mean, I think that could probably get like 200 million people in the States to watch the final.
Which could happen. I'm not debating that could happen. But you got to be careful from the standpoint of, do we count international views when it comes to the numbers? Do we not?
Which is a thing that we discussed during the World Series last year involving LA playing Toronto.
Because Major League Baseball made a really effed up excuse saying that, what was it, like 20 million plus people watched internationally?
Uh-huh.
You want to know why? Because the product stunk. So they made the excuse and said, oh, we'll tell you our international numbers combined with our U.S. numbers. That's not how it works.
Because I think, Nick, in that case, that America minus L.A. County has Dodgers fatigue in baseball. I would even think that the NHL numbers take a slight hit because people have Golden Knight fatigue, believe it or not.
Well, you have to remember also you have the U.S. versus Canada, the fans also watching. And I don't think the NHL is going to separate the Canada numbers, the Canadian French numbers from the U.S. numbers. So that makes it a little harder to tell where the popularity is coming from. I'm sure they do know the difference, and we're going to get to a whole story that might affect how hockey numbers are going to be changed forever.
Yes.
But the numbers don't surprise me here. I mean, we didn't get to talk about it, but the NBA Finals numbers, look, they averaged close to 21 million throughout the whole NBA Finals, and they peaked at like 33.
But yet more people still tune in to watch Game 7 of last year's small market final of 75 million people watching Game 7 at different points in time with Halliburton ripping his Achilles. And I was told that small markets need to be eradicated from sports.
Well, I wrote into you last night that I said the Pacers and the Thunder was a much better series than this series was this year. And it's not close. That, first of all, the Pacers-Thunder series went 7 games when it shouldn't have gone 7 games because the Pacers put up way more of a fight, even with Halliburton out. I think that was more a motivative factor with their star being out. But I'll say it now. If it wasn't for small market teams, and you could say the same thing for the World Cup.
Yeah.
You could say the smaller countries are considered the
Cape Verde, the Ivory Coast, Uzbekistan,
you would
Morocco.
consider those technically the smaller market countries.
Yes.
You couldn't have a World Cup tournament. Now, you could because you have enough countries, but you need something that allows the whole world to watch the World Cup. Can you imagine, and I'll ask you since you know better, give me the top 10 quickly countries that you could run a World Cup with, just on market. Just
Team
10.
USA, Mexico, Argentina, Spain, France, England. That's what, 6?
Yeah.
South Africa, Germany. Did I say France?
I don't think so.
France, and then I'd say Italy
Japan.
when they actually
What
want to qualify for the World Cup.
Is Japan not count or no?
They
No?
didn't come to mind right away.
Okay, so if I gave you those countries, could you technically run the World Cup? Sure,
Sure.
you could. But you're missing out on the rest of the world.
Yeah.
And you're subsectioning your audience that you could potentially be bringing in.
I mean, and also it's called the World Cup for a reason.
But I'm just saying, technically, because of Isaiah's idiot takes on large markets only being a thing, could you technically run the World Cup on 10 countries? Yeah, you could,
Sure.
but you're not going to.
Yeah, in the days of like the NHL having 6 teams and the NBA having 10 teams and baseball having 12 teams are long gone.
Well, I wouldn't even look at it from that perspective, because I think the perspective he's trying to point out is that, oh, well, you could have the Knicks and the Lakers or the Celtics and the Lakers, and the numbers are always going to be good. In theory, yes, the numbers are going to be good because they're large market, but are you going to get fatigue watching that matchup every single time? Look what happened between Cleveland and Golden State. People were fatigued by the 4th year in a row that went on.
I mean, how do you think baseball fans feel? And you and I can agree about watching the Dodgers in the World Series potentially again for what, a 4th straight year, 3rd straight year?
To be honest, if the Dodgers make it, I might just not watch it, to be honest. I've kind of lost like my fan-ish dedication to baseball a little bit just because over the last couple of years, the way they've been running it. But like my Yankees are competing. Still a Yankee fan. I've been a Yankee fan since I'm 3 years old. So don't at me and say I don't like baseball. I've been around since the 90s when they were good. But I don't know, man. Like these numbers are great. But it has to do with every team being in it. Because you're going to get fans that are not U.S. fans watching these games too.
I really wonder, Nick, how much the viewership will increase, especially if Team USA wins on Friday. I mean, I know the game is kind of in a bit of a weird time slot because they're the first game of the day, I believe, at noon Pacific time on Friday and 3 o'clock Eastern, where they've been, they were the primetime game, of course, on last Friday when they played from Los Angeles Stadium in the 6 p.m. time slot. Then, though, their final game against Turkey, they're the 10 o'clock Eastern time slot the following Thursday. So I wonder how much that the afternoon slate might hurt the viewership a little bit, but I think that they're still going to pull a lot of people, especially I think if they win this match or if they're already leading when people do tune in.
Oh, it is going to hurt the viewership because it's during the workday for most people. Unless they're if they're working from home or they're working hybrid or whatever, and they can watch TVs.
Or if they call off work and go to the bar.
Yeah, but how many people? The average person can't do that if they're working. But the viewership is going to take a hit slightly just because it's during the workday. Now, I just realized something. Friday is Juneteenth.
Yes, it's a holiday.
It's a holiday. So the audience might not be down.
That is a good point. That is correct.
I just remembered that off the top of my head because like my niece and nephew don't have school on Friday. A lot of people don't have school on Friday. That's a newer holiday, like over the last couple of years.
Yeah, I was reminded of that because I heard the morning show on KWFN this morning saying that we have no show Friday because it's a company holiday for Juneteenth.
It is a legal holiday. It's not just a holiday you see show up on the calendar. They made it a legal
actual holiday, yes.
Holiday, meaning that everything has to close.
Yeah.
Government, everything has to close. So the audience might not take a hit, possibly, depending. Unless people are going to go out and go to the beach, depending on where they are.
They still might watch the game on their phones if they go to the beach or if they're at a bar.
The numbers will just be counted a little differently from a digital perspective as opposed to a TV watching perspective because of like the Tubies of the world.
Fox 1, Tubi.
But these numbers don't shock me. But this is not all U.S. watchers. Can we agree on that?
Yeah, no, we can totally. I will buy that notion every day of the week. That especially if you are in Paraguay, you probably wanted to see how your team would play against Team USA, for example, or if you maybe have some cunning interest. If you're, what if you're a American citizen, Nick, overseas right now during the World Cup, and you want to watch Team USA play? I think that's partially to your point.
I think also, and just to go back to one more point of the idiot's comments from his show, is that if you didn't have these other teams, you wouldn't recognize other stars that have huge potential.
Yeah.
I can't. Who was the one you just said? Oh, Cape Verde.
Yeah, Cape Verde, who has a goalkeeper playing for San Diego FC.
If I'm not mistaken, he's gained millions of followers on Instagram.
He's over 5 million followers after his performance against Spain a couple days ago.
I even heard it might be 7 by now. But
Yeah.
but why is that the case? Because internationally, it's the biggest event in the world. And it doesn't matter if it's Team USA or Mexico or whatever, Brazil, doesn't matter. You could get all these other teams that people are fans of. By the way, when you look in the crowds, everybody has their own dedicated fan base when they show up, right?
And I mentioned that on Tuesday on Cranium about how Casey Stadium felt like it was an Argentina home game with how it was their entire fan base practically there against poor Algeria on Tuesday.
Yeah, I mean, even the dogs love it. But my point is, you see all the fan bases are showing up.
Yes.
And I'm still laughing over the people like who went to the Red Sox games, the Scottish fans.
Yes.
And they were singing Sweet Caroline at the game.
Well, and not just that, Nick. Before we move on here to talk more about the World Cup with Mexico playing South Africa, you saw firsthand, too, the Japanese fan base cleaning up the stadium when they left.
I brought that up to you.
Scotland fans cleaned up a local park after they had drank all day. They've also donated $30,000 to 3 different charities in Boston. So, like the international the international fans who have come here, I mean, again, I brought this up, though. You have seen how the Dutch fan base assembled in Arlington, how the English fan base has assembled. I'm rooting for England, partially because of where all my ancestors came from, away from Ireland, because Ireland to make the damn tournament away from for Team USA. You'll see Croatia in the checkerboard uniforms coming up at the top of the hour. And then, we talked about, the Taco Bell stuff and the Bucky stuff. But more importantly, though, Nick, people have come here and they have left the place how they found it, which I think has been beautiful.
The Japanese one was fascinating to me because it wasn't
even the players cleaned up the locker room after they finished playing their match.
Well, that's the one I saw. But I also saw, what was it? Japanese fans were taking garbage bags and actually cleaning up the stadium.
Jameis Winston helped them out, actually, believe it or not, for Fox digital content.
But I'm just saying generally, though, like the Japanese fans went back after the game and cleaned up after themselves. Like you said, the locker room.
Yeah, and then the Scottish fan base went to a park, I think, before they had their first match, and they left the place extremely tidy. They tried their best to keep all their trash by a trash can in case it overflowed, or they actually picked up at themselves. And then, of course, Nick, as well, they took over that boat in the Boston Harbor, at 11 a.m. in the morning before they played their first game. And, it's a little sad, Nick, that international fans have more morals than us Americans do, sadly, sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting how different cultures handle themselves also. And I think you and Trevor should talk more about the whole Japanese culture thing, because I find that interesting.
And before we move on, I want to quickly pull up, because I saw a post, I think, Nick, from Front Office Sports that said that the Scottish fan base, I think they're called the Tartan Army, they have donated money, I think, to 3 different Boston charities. I think I'm going to pull that up real quick. But I did see a post, though, about that from FOS. So following Scotland's 1-0 victory over Haiti, fans in Providence, Rhode Island have pledged nearly $30,000 to local charities, repaying the kindness of the Providence Tartan Army, a fan group that helped them find affordable lodging close to Gillette Stadium in Foxborough, Mass. The largest donation of $10,000 is going to the Hasbro Children's Hospital Cancer Unit, presented during the Army's Downtown March and Music Festival. Other contributions include funds for the Rhode Island Highlanders Pipe Band and a grassroots soccer program for underprivileged children. Also, the coordinator for the Army estimates that Scotland fans will inject $35 million into the Providence area through spending on accommodations, food, and entertainment. Then in Boston, over 20,000 fans celebrated Scotland's matches, embracing local culture in Boston, and also went to a Red Sox game at Fenway Park. The influx has caused unprecedented demand in bars and liquor stores with trade after the Scotland-Haiti match, tripling St. Patrick's Day levels in Boston. Despite the festive atmosphere, fans have also shown great generosity, with the Providence donation being one of the most notable examples shown so far. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised. I heard on the radio as I was coming back from the gym that like some bars ran out of Sam Adams in Boston.
They've been drinking and how poetic, by the way, drinking Sam Adams in Boston while you're back there for the tournament. How fitting. I love it.
They said it was like a lot of Scottish fans were just like, they were clearing out bars, which I guess that's good for the local product, I guess, that
which again, by the way, as Trevor and I have said, if you are in fact going out to watch the World Cup at a bar, go support your local small business bars around your county,
because they're the ones that need the help most when these big events come through. But you know what? It's interesting, and you know what? Like, just I think we should support the small businesses in this scenario when it comes to the World Cup. Don't go to the Buffalo Wild Wings. Don't go to the McDonald's, the Burger Kings, I don't know. Take your choice. It doesn't matter. Go support the local stuff. That's the stuff that matters most in this scenario, at least how I see it. But
same.
All right, let's transition a little bit to the the blood boiling. Uh-oh.
Before we do that, though, Nick, we have some breaking news from the NBA from Shams. Nothing major. Nothing major.
Is this the Devin Booker jersey story?
Devin Booker is now going to be wearing number 15 come next season to honor his Team USA number and also the college number of his dad, Melvin. Pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean,
I like that.
Nothing major.
Awesome. That's cool.
Nothing major there, but
oh my God.
I need to ask my mother-in-law if she's been to downtown Dallas and seen any Dutch or Croatian fans.
or even the English fan base took over the city a couple days ago.
That's kind of funny, actually.
That's great.
All right, now let's transition to the funniest story of the day, in my opinion.
Oh, goodness.
Bad blood boils between Fox Sports and ESPN over World Cup media blackout. I don't know if it's really a blackout. It's more the rights. But
yes.
Severe tension is boiled over behind the scenes between rival networks, Fox Sports and ESPN. Sources confirm that Fox Sports executives are profoundly frustrated and privately furious at what they perceive as an intentional, calculated lack of editorial coverage surrounding the 2026 FIFA World Cup on ESPN's flagship studio programming like SportsCenter and First Take, viewing it as a petty corporate blackout designed to minimize a tournament Fox owns the exclusive broadcast rights to. ESPN has a notorious history of suppressing editorial highlights for a major sports properties that they don't hold the live broadcasting rights for, but is executing a soft news blackout on the biggest sports event on American soil since 1994. Is this a disservice to sports fans, or is it just smart corporate warfare to protect their own summer assets?
Yeah, Nick, we were kind of exchanging notes on this regarding about how in college basketball on the men's side, the teams have to pay to get access to the highlights to clip them off for social media when it comes to March Madness because of how, that right deal works out with CBS and all those networks. I mean, I'm not really surprised about this because, I know that ESPN did a lot of great things, though, for the World Cup in 94. And, of course, Ian Dark, go USA back in 2010, when they beat Algeria. But this doesn't shock me, though, Nick Sally, because, I just don't think that ESPN, whether, it's the right things or not, they don't want to fully, I think, cover this tournament, which I think is sad. I think they're trying. It's like in a way, I think they're trying to tiptoe around certain things. I think they try to talk about the World Cup today on First Take when it came to it, but I just don't know though, Nick. If ESPN is really focusing on that, they're more worried about the damn Super Bowl coming up next February.
Well, Okay, so we need to correct some of the record because Fox is not 100% right on
Yeah.
this. So ESPN has ESPN FC. They've been
Yeah.
running that program. They have ESPN World Cup analysts that are on SportsCenter. So I think Fox needs to take it down
it
a
felt
little.
like a little bit. It felt like that they kind of like overstepped their boundary because ESPN FC. I think that they're only saying it though, Nick, because I think ESPN FC is only a ESPN Plus engine and not actually on cable. I think
That's not true. ESPN FC is aired on ESPN also.
Okay, for some reason I thought they moved it off there. I don't know why.
It's been on. I know it's been on TV for years.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming during the World Cup they would put it back on TV because it makes the most sense because people want to tune into football coverage, or football coverage. But
proper version of football. Yes.
But so ESPN had a response, by the way. So Awful Announcing put an article out not too long ago.
Baby.
So ESPN is covering the World Cup with the same fervor it would for any other major global sporting event. This is Awful Announcing. Despite draconian restrictions levied by FIFA on broadcasters that do not own the rights.
March Madness.
So if we scroll down, Awful Announcing says, perhaps those Fox executives, none of whom were directly quoted, weren't paying very much attention. ESPN has aired daily editions,
There we go.
Keyword. Editions of its soccer franchise, ESPN FC, each morning before the World Cup action begins and at night after the last game concludes. Pay attention to that last sentence because I'm going to explain the rights that they have to follow. But the network has sent more than a dozen on-site reporters to matches across its linear and digital properties. That's including Sam Borden, if you know who he is too, and has effectively made the Spanish-language ESPN Deportes a wall-to-wall World Cup network. Not to mention, ESPN produced a handful of original series entirely for the World Cup. All of this for a property ESPN has no broadcast rights to.
Correct. They have no stake in whatsoever.
Awful Announcing goes on to say, let's put aside the obvious double standard at play here. Fox, among the major sports network, is probably the least qualified to raise this exact objection. There are well-documented restrictions on how non-rights holders can use World Cup highlights.
Correct.
Limiting the match footage ESPN can use in its coverage. Despite those stringent limits, ESPN has made itself a destination for soccer fans seeking World Cup coverage. Now, let's scroll past the ESPN quotes. Here we go. Here's a copy of the restriction rules.
Let's hear them.
Details the use of the World Cup match highlights is severely limited for a network like ESPN. Highlights must only appear on daily multi-sport news programs, airing a minimum of 5 days per week.
Jeez.
Additionally, highlights cannot be shown until after Fox's post-game coverage concludes for the day. In the case of Tuesday night's matches, that meant ESPN couldn't begin showing highlights until after Fox went off the air at close to 3 a.m. Eastern time Wednesday morning.
Yeah, that makes sense because the last game of the night was the Austria-Jordan match, which kicked off at midnight Eastern.
Even after all those restrictions are met, ESPN can use at most 2 minutes of highlights per show from all the previous day's matches. When there are 4 matches, the amount that amounts to just 30 seconds of highlights per match.
Wow.
Then after 24 hours, ESPN can no longer use highlights from those matches at all. So if the network wanted to say, preview the upcoming U.S. men's national team match against Australia, it couldn't use highlights from the Paraguay game.
Wow.
So Fox, what do you want ESPN to do?
Yeah, I mean, you're basically handcuffing them that they can only do this and can do that, nothing more, nothing less.
This is not ESPN's fault. They are
Hell no.
following the strict bylines that Fox owns the exclusive rights. Is Zan Anon pictures? Oh, there it is. That sounds like a UFC policy for TV networks that are local news. Yeah. UFC has a massive issue when it comes to restrictions of what they can show. WWE, forget it. If you show anything that's licensed, they DMCA you on YouTube. UFC the same way.
Yeah, within the first 10 seconds, you're screwed.
Or they'll allow you to keep it up, but it can't be internationally shown.
Yeah.
So, Fox, what do you want ESPN to do? And by the way, this is another thing that people are not pointing out. Why are you caring what a competitor is doing?
Yeah, like you should be focusing on the tournament and what you have to do, not what not with what else is going on somewhere else.
That doesn't make any sense to me. Like, WWE is getting insanely strict about it. Yeah, exactly.
They're getting worse, I think. Yeah.
Nico, our head of social media, he was telling us last night, because I wanted to start putting clips out, Christy, actually from your show, Between the Ropes. But he told me apparently that if you put out any clip talking about the WWE, they will suspend YouTube accounts for having opinions about it.
What?
So it's media censorship.
Oh, I said that's a lawsuit waiting to happen. Like,
What?
but I guess technically the WWE is a private entity; they can do what they want.
That is true.
But YouTube is falling for it, also, because they want the content. Because WWE runs a huge YouTube channel.
Yeah.
So they want the views.
Surpassed 1 billion views last year.
But is it right? Hell no, it's not right.
Really not.
By the way, one last thing. Scott Van Pelt,
Yes.
big host, the Big Sports Center at 11 p.m. Eastern time, expressed his annoyance with the restrictions on social media prior to his Tuesday show. His workaround, having Apple TV MLS analyst Taylor Twellman illustrate the goals himself. Did you see he jokingly made illustrations of the goals and showed
I
it?
did. That was hysterical. I thought that was funny.
But what else can you do?
Yeah, you can't do much. You're kind of handcuffed, as I said.
And it was funny just because Richard Dysich, who is another guy I'd like to have on this show.
Oh, he's been phenomenal covering everything in sports business and media. What a guy.
So he wrote, if you don't think ESPN has invested in the NHL since reacquiring the rights, we really disagree on that. There's also data that proves otherwise. And then he responded by saying, we have a show tonight and I can't show Holland. He wrote it with the 3 A's because that's how he says it. Mbappe or Messi. But the rules are the rules. So Taylor Twellman and I will continue to draw pictures.
I mean, and by the way, last night was needed, by the way, for World Cup action. The next game will kick off at 1 o'clock with England playing Croatia. We went from a day of 4 ties on Monday to Kylian Mbappe, 2 goals, Holland, 2 goals for Norway, and then a hat trick for Leo Messi last night. So the Stars came out and scored 7 goals in 3 games last night to give us a reprieve from what happened on Monday. But now Wednesday's already off to a 1-1 tie for Portugal playing Congo.
Long story short is, Fox, what do you want ESPN to do?
Yeah.
They have an ESPN FC show, which, by the way, doesn't kind of work technically because they can't show the highlights.
Yeah.
But I guess they have enough analysts so they can talk it. I'm sure they can talk it better than most people. I saw that Sam Borton, who's been incredible covering all the international soccer for ESPN, doing the best he can. I know, oh my God, why am I forgetting his name? Jeremy Schaap has been down covering. He's been there the whole time. You don't have to
have here.
You don't have to pop this, but you can reveal my interview this weekend in the weekly update. It's fair game. Okay, at the end of the hour, well, remind me.
All right, Nick, we'll go back to more about ratings real quick involving Mexico and South Africa, but to illustrate that
hold on. So I just came across news that broke an hour ago that I'm surprised you and I did not see it, but Jimmy Johnson is now an official analyst for TNT for NASCAR.
The Jimmy Johnson, San Diego zone, racing in his final race on Sunday, which we'll talk about later in Michelle.
Yeah, Front Office Sports reported about an hour and a half ago. Jimmy Johnson is joining TNT's NASCAR coverage as a studio analyst.
Nice.
He will make his debut on June 28th for the Toyota Save Mart 350 at Sonoma Raceway.
Up in Sonoma, California.
So he's making his debut as an official analyst for TNT, which I forgot TNT had NASCAR covered.
Which we'll talk more about the race coming here this weekend from Southern California. But again, Nick, we'll get back to more about ratings for soccer real quick. We actually missed the story, but to illustrate that the World Cup's ratings boom is not solely limited to American squad matches, but Fox Sports also announced that 6.309 million viewers watched across Fox, Fox 1, and Tubi as El Tri, or Mexico, beat South Africa in the first match of a tournament 2-0 from Estadio Azteca. The staggering number officially crowns the match as the most watched men's opening match and the highest rated non-U.S. team match for a World Cup group stage match in English language U.S. broadcast history. So, Nick, to pull over 6 million fans in English for a match involving Mexico, a market historically dominated by Spanish language networks, signals a massive structural win for Fox's distribution network. Does this, though, indicate that their decision to aggressively utilize Tubi and Fox One as the primary Tier 1 streams is paying massive dividends after just the first game right there for El Tri from Estadio Azteca?
By the way, Zan just said my Fox One streams have been terrible streaming-wise.
Ouch.
So maybe they're not running very well. Fox was not really known for streaming.
No, they just happened to follow the rest of the pack when it came to that sort of stuff.
Well, that's why they bought Tubi. Because maybe it's more streaming digital distribution. I don't know. This one, again, this goes back to what we talked about with the U.S. men's national team games, where you're going to get peak interest from all types of fans from all different countries around the world. I think everybody just loves watching soccer on an international stage, right?
Yeah, I mean, and the scenes, though, from Azteca with them hosting the World Cup again for the first time down there, I think since '86, I want to say. The fans throwing like what look like sombreros after they sing the national anthem. The walkout when they first played the Alan Parsons Project was epic when they first came out. And there's just something though about El Tri playing at home when they play at Estadio Azteca, where you got 70,000 people losing their minds, though. And more importantly, Nick, you know who the number one market was for that game in the U.S. to watch Mexico, South Africa?
Who?
San Diego, California.
Really?
Number one market for Mexico, South Africa when it came to the numbers, when it came to Nelson share ratings and all that good stuff.
Hold on. We got an Andrew Marchand update on the Fox ESPN battle.
Oh, my goodness.
And you're going to find this a little shocking. I'm just going to say this now.
Well, what do you got for Mr. Marchand?
Fox hit a boiling point on the false story that was put out there.
False story?
That it was concerned about ESPN's coverage of the World Cup. A story had unnamed Fox executives supposedly upset that ESPN wasn't covering the World Cup enough. A Fox Sports spokesman said, quote, "This is simply not true. We are focused on our own coverage of the biggest event in the world, not on what others choose to air. And frankly, it's insulting to ESPN to suggest that they would pass on covering it. This is all absurd."
Clown show! Clown show! Clown show! Clown show!
What is this, a game of musical chairs? Like, do you think maybe they got their hand caught in the cookie jar and they're trying to deny it?
Whoop! Calling a foul, reach in violation.
I don't know. Do we think it's true? Do we think maybe they over-speculated this?
I think they did. I mean, this is the problem, and this is why that we have the shows to debunk what's true and what's fake here. Now it's one of these stories, Nick, where it's like, it's a game of he said, she said, they said, we said, you said.
What could have happened is someone could have said it.
And someone chose to run with the story.
But now the Fox executives, because it finally got to their desk, and they said, we're just going to deny the whole thing and not admit the truth. I don't know anymore. I don't know what to believe anymore. Now, because the two sides hate each other, because they're direct rivals. Yes.
Nick, there's also a story that was put out within the hour by Ben Horney of Front Office Sports. Even when the Knicks win it all, they still cannot get out of their own way.
Wait, say that again?
Even when the Knicks win the championship, they still cannot get out of their own way. MSG has been hit with a proposed class action lawsuit alleging that hackers had accessed sensitive visitor data from up to 26 million people collected through controversial surveillance and facial recognition technology used at Knick home games during the course of the last couple of seasons.
What? Oh. Why do I feel like this has something to do with James Dolan? Because he was the one using facial recognition software.
The suit filed against the MSG Entertainment Group was filed on Tuesday in New York federal court, one day after cybercrime group Shiny Hunters claimed to have hacked the company's internal systems to obtain everything from biometric facial recognition data and background check information to credit scores and social security numbers. And it also comes 3 days after the Knicks finally won the NBA title for the first time since 1973 over San Antonio. MSG Entertainment, which owns the Garden, is the only named defendant in the case. MSG Sports, a separate company that owns the Knicks and Rangers, was not named in this, with, of course, James Dolan being executive chairman and CEO of both the Knicks and the Rangers.
Am I really that surprised? No. James Dolan is the scum of the earth when it comes to being a sports executive and a businessman.
The lawsuit further says that MSGE has a history with respect to people's data privacy, and further notes that despite a slew of lawsuits regarding this conduct, plus consternation from privacy advocates and legislatures in New York, the arena, and at the direction of their owner, James Dolan, continues to collect biometric information from everyone who attends a game or event at the arena. The lead plaintiff, by the way, is named Carlos Avallo, claims that his personal identifying information was collected when he attended a concert at MSG in September of last year. He reasonably believes his information was included in the new data breach and is gravely concerned about what may have been exposed. Shiny Hunters has demanded that MSG Entertainment pay up a ransom to avoid more than 42 gigabytes of information being released out on the dark web, but the information has since been published online. Examples of information that is now out there include that actor and well-known Knicks fan Ben Stiller is considered to be low risk by MSG, while rapper A Boogie with the Hoodie is considered to be high risk. The suit also claims that MSG Entertainment has not adequately addressed the hack, including not yet notifying those affected, saying in part that the defendant's response to the data breach has been woefully insufficient. As of Wednesday morning, no statement has been issued by the company, and a rep for MSG Entertainment did not respond for comment. The suit also says that this does not represent MSG's first massive data breach, pointing to separate cybersecurity attacks 10 years ago and last year that resulted in hackers obtaining consumer data, including credit card information and, yes, social security numbers. Got more.
It gets worse.
The 2-count complaint includes a claim of negligence and says the class will include millions of members and seeks roughly $5 million in damages, and the actual amount will likely be far greater than that because the lawsuit seeks restitution, multiple forms of damages, including actual damages and also damages for compensatory damages, plus attorney's fees and pre- and post-judgment interest on whatever award or what amount is awarded. The attorney that represents the plaintiff declined to offer further information and comment. The technology, by the way, for those that are wondering, has allegedly been used at MSG since the 2018 seasons and has come under fire, and it has already been under fire before. 3 years ago, MSG Entertainment drew scrutiny, including from New York GA Lydia James, for using the technology to find and remove lawyers from Knicks and Rangers games for the sole reason that they worked at a firm that was involved in active litigation against the company. The new hack of MSG Entertainment comes as the global sports industry has become the top target for cyber crime, per a new report from UK cybersecurity firm Darktrace. The firm surveyed over 875 IT cybersecurity professionals across sports organizations in the US, UK, and Australia, and Germany, and said that 84% reported at least one cyber incident within the last year.
I mean,
and there's a reason why when I went to Intuit Dome, because they use the same exact technology as the Garden, you get the option, Nick, to opt out of having your face being recognized when you go to games at Intuit Dome or for anything at the new arena where the Clippers play in Inglewood.
oh, really? I didn't know that. But this is not the first time we've heard of incidents of facial recognition software at MSG. You remember the whole thing where James Dolan got mad at, what was it, a Girl Scout and her father or whatever, and now they kicked them out of the arena, and now they use facial recognition software to determine if...
Just think back to Charles Oakley.
Well, that's a whole different issue. But my point is, this is not the first time we've heard MSG be connected to facial recognition software. And technology has gotten to a point where we could be getting tracked right now and we wouldn't even know it. Like, that's how scary, like, certain tracking and tracker information can be.
Nick, Christy Wilson shared some breaking news from ESPN in the Slack channel, but we have some breaking news, folks, that Jenny Simpson, a Olympic bronze medalist and world champion who runs the 1,500-meter race, collapsed today after suffering a medical emergency while pacing a mile group at an event in Raleigh, North Carolina as of yesterday on Tuesday. Yikes, that is scary.
Yeah, it sounds like there were some bystanders that happened to be around to perform CPR. So it sounds like they were able to at least save her until they get her to the hospital.
And then we have a couple of thoughts here from Zan, some small breaking news that the Blue Angel flyover nearly did not happen on Sunday. Dana White does say that the event started when they knew that the storm was not going to hit the White House. Was very interesting to hear regarding his perspective. Interesting. So close yet so far with that storm coming through.
Yeah.
And I'm really glad, by the way, we can touch base on that real quick before we get to the break, that regarding that, I'm glad that the weather did not really play a huge factor in this whole thing when it came to the fight card on Sunday, but I know it was a bit of an issue with lightning before the show or the card began, I think, Nick, if that's correct.
Well, there was a hour delay, but the hour delay only became 20 minutes because all of a sudden they went from having a weather delay to moving into the card and doing it. So I guess so much for a weather delay. And then we didn't see any rain for the entire night.
Yeah, real quick, one thought about the Sorsby case, that the Bearcats knew about Brendan having the gambling problem 2 years while he was there. And that went to our point, though, that if that's true, then they should be held liable, too.
Well, they could have put an end to this nonsense if they had known about it.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. They could have stopped that a long time ago. Before we move on, we should talk about a show that's going to air tomorrow morning. You want to tell people about a show that's going to air tomorrow morning?
Yeah, folks, sports moves fast, and we're here to keep you ahead of the chains. Please join Nick DiMartino and Johnny Montalbano for Moving the Goalpost that now airs every Thursday, 11:30 a.m. Eastern, 8:30 a.m. Pacific time, as they cover the full spectrum of the Big Four, from the gridiron and the diamond to the court and the ice, whether they analyze the NBA playoff bracket, discuss a major coaching shakeup in the NHL, or recap a huge finish, though, on the golf course. They bring you unique perspectives and a touch of humor. Don't just watch the games. Understand the moves that change them, only on the Into the Bench Network. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel today at youtube.com/ETB Network. We'll see the guys tomorrow morning and see what they have up their sleeve.
Well, we have some time to kill. I guess we could talk about some other stuff that's kind of coming up here. So what Zan was referring to before is, so not for Bando's breakdowns, but for Zanzinger Part 2, he did a interview, and I want to make sure I get it's the guy's name is John Martin. And I want to make sure I get the name correct before I say anything else. Oh God. John Martin.
No. It's nothing bad. Wreckham Tech, Kirk Francis starting QB until Hammond comes back from week 3 from his ACL injury. last season. I still think they're going to be a good team this year in the Big 12. They're going to be up there in the running for the upcoming season, whether or not Sorsby's there or not.
Okay, so John Martin is the CEO of the PFL. So he got the CEO of the PFL, and he's going to be on. He's going to talk about a bunch of things and what's going on in the PFL, and so that interview is going to air on Sunday in the normal 11 a.m. Eastern time slot, and then Zan's going to be off next week for vacation. So we're kind of working out some scheduling stuff in the meantime. But don't miss Zanzinger's Part 2 exclusive interview with CEO of the PFL, John Martin, coming up 11 a.m. Eastern time Sunday.
That'll be great.
What else do we have? Callan, he does encourage people like you to go to the San Diego event.
If I wasn't at work on the 27th, I would have been at the arena because the tickets were very cheap, actually, and I would have actually gone, but I'm stuck at work on Saturday evening, sadly.
What, that's a PFL event?
Yeah, they're coming to the sports arena here on the 27th with Liz Carmouche, who was a San Diego native and former member of the armed forces fighting in the main event, I believe.
Ah, interesting. Okay.
Or pretty damn close to it, yeah.
What else do we have coming up? Anything that you're working on or?
Coming up on Friday for Small Market Edition, we have a new audio episode dropping. Revolving Nick, it is summertime out here in Southern California. That means we talk all things about San Diego's surf and skate economy. We talk about some of the great legends of skateboarding like Tony Hawk and Rob Machado and Shaun White, who all have called San Diego their home market. We talk about the X Games coming here, how Nickelodeon actually did a show based off San Diego called Rocket Power at one point in time. You might remember that program, folks. And also about how, in fact, that this has been the birthplace of the apparel lines of Rusty surfboards. You name it, that'll all be coming out on Friday morning, 10 a.m. Pacific time, 1 p.m. Eastern. So all things considered, Nick, very cool episode to kind of, in a way, shine a different spotlight on some sports that are really much, part of my daily routine out here in SoCal and in San Diego, California.
Yeah, I mean, that was that the surf and skate episode?
Yes.
Or? Okay, so I just finished that one. That one was a great episode. Everyone's gonna love hearing that. So make sure you tune into that. That's gonna be a great episode. What else do we have coming up? Anything?
What else? We got Empty the Pitches back on Saturday morning at 10 a.m. or 8 a.m. I should say Pacific time to recap the full day of all things that happened regarding around the World Cup. We'll again recap Team USA in Australia on Friday after the game concludes in the afternoon, and then a full recap of everything that we missed over the course of this week between between all the ties, Lionel Messi's hat trick, the final groups getting off the ground and running finally this week. So we'll see what happens.
And we got to do some scheduling maneuvering for Friday. Because
Friday's going to be a little bit of an interesting day. And yes, Zan, correct that she was also part of the first UFC women's fight in 2013. Back to our good man, old Texas man, our Texas Tech man. One question, though, fellas. Do you think that the Big 12 needs Tech, or does Tech need the Big 12? What do you think? I mean, I don't really – I think, though, the only thing we could say, Nick, was that the lawsuit was just probably, trying to, stop this injunction from happening. But I still think that Tech could, that Tech needs the Big 12 in some way. I don't know if I don't know if they need to make the jump yet to a different conference at this time. Could you imagine, by the way, if it's UT, A&M, and Tech in the SEC at one point in time? I don't know about that.
I mean, just to answer this question, though, I think Tech needs the Big 12 more than Big 12 needs Texas Tech.
But real quick though, because the Big 12 is one hell of a conference. Football is one thing, but basketball, it's a great conference, with Houston and their lineage, with what Tech is, what Tech does have at their disposal. It's a hell of a baseball conference too, by the way, for those that probably don't know much about the Big 12 with baseball. I also, though, like the footprint though, with TCU and Tech, Cincinnati, Houston, ASU, Colorado, and Utah, what they've done, that unlike other realignment here, Texas Tech, man, the Big 12 did it right, though, as away from what like the SEC did, what the ACC has done, with the Pac-12, folding up shop and going down the tubes, though. But I would think, though, that Tech probably would need the Big 12 a little bit more than vice versa.
Yeah, the Big 12 doesn't have to have Texas Tech. Heck, they were willing to sue to stop the injunction scenario. as Zan actually kind of chimed in here. The Big 12 also has some very exciting games on a weekly basis that sometimes surpasses 100 combined points. But just to get back to this question, they were willing to do everything in their power to take down Brendan Sorsby and Texas Tech. And
that was the conference more than the school. So, like, I think it was a way of like, we need you more than you kind of need us. And that might be a bit, off base perhaps still, but that's kind of the logic I've been kind of thinking of here as time has gone on.
And also, the Big 12 was going to not schedule Texas Tech. Some of their teams were not going to do it. That led to a whole lawsuit situation.
Which is brutal.
But no, the Big 12 doesn't have to have Texas Tech. I'm looking at the Big 12 alone between the two teams in Arizona. They got Colorado. They got Iowa State. They got who else? They got the Bearcats. They got Baylor. They got Houston. They got TCU. I mean, they'll be fine. I think Coach McClurg is a great coach. Awesome man.
I've heard good things about him. Yeah,
it has nothing to do with him. I think it's the upper brass, and I don't know if old Texas Tech man, if you saw the video of how stupid the four heads looked at that table trying to discuss, basically saying that Brendan Sorsby had a betting apparatus in his pocket, and that's why he should be allowed to get away with stuff. But I don't know.
Yes, we all concur. Team USA rocks.
But all right. Do we have anything else? We still got 5 minutes. If we have anything else,
I feel like there may have been something else that was catching my eye a little bit on over on front office or AA real quick. I'm not seeing a whole lot at this rate.
I'm just looking around to see if there was anything else.
Same. Again, we talked that Jimmy Johnson, the legendary NASCAR driver, set for his final race coming up on Sunday, will in fact join Turner Sports, or TNT, I should say, to become a new analyst for them at this rate. And then just real quick to check one more time. We talked about that as well. Nick, this is a bit. This story though has also kind of in a way gone south. But ESPN has now reached agreements with 2 high school basketball players to become the face of SportsCenter's new merch brand. But some are fearing, though, that it could, compromise the ability or compromise their ability to cover the sport of college basketball. ESPN, per awful announcing, revealed an agreement with high school basketball player or stars Kalina Smith and Beckham Black to become the faces of SportsCenter Next's new content and merchandise initiative. Per ESPN, the new merchandise line is intended to celebrate the intersection of high school sports culture, fashion, and also emergent sector of sports fandom, with the brand bringing youth culture and sports to life on a daily basis, said Katie Daly, the senior VP of social, digital, and streaming content, it's a mouthful, at ESPN. Black is the younger brother, by the way, of Orlando Magic guard Anthony Black, is ranked number 2 in the class of 2027 boys rankings, while Smith is ranked number 1 in the girls rankings. Nick, what do you think about this whole entire story here?
I don't know, man. It's I don't know this as well as you do. You know this story better than me, but I guess we'll kind of see what happens with that.
This story, I don't know if it really compromises ESPN, but it is, though, interesting that they would start doing this sort of stuff with high school.
I think it's a little bit weird that you're making endorsement deals already with high school athletes. I don't know. It's kind of crossing or breaking a fifth wall a little bit.
I'm trying to, believe me. By the way, we have to change your name on Friday for one day because we're not calling you Aussie on Friday because we're playing the Australians on Friday. So we're changing your name for one day on Friday.
I do want to get to one more story before we hit the top of the hour. This whole San Francisco, Arizona story. There is a video that's now surfaced from Arizona pitcher Ryan Thompson, who was one of the pitchers that wrote on his hat.
Yes.
So maybe we can hit that. This is a quick 1-minute video, which he gets a little perturbed, to say the least. So here's Ryan Thompson kind of reacting to the moment.
a lot of the hate comes from perceived negativity. And without getting too off track, but like the Pride Night stuff with the Giants, like I think that there's a perceived negativity with this stuff of like, okay, Landon Routt wrote a verse on his hat. That means that he's anti something. That doesn't mean that, right? It means that he's pro something, right? So the rainbow means something to him. It means that he believes in the Noahic covenant being something that's special to us as Christians, right? That means that no matter how bad we possibly could be, no matter how much we reject God, that he will never again flood the earth. That's really cool. That's really special. And we do a lot of stuff, and we're all sinful. We all do a lot of stuff that may be worthy of a flooding, but God will never flood us. And because of that promise, and his promises are unconditional. So that's something that's really cool to me, is that there's nothing negative. There's nothing anti. There's nothing that says that he doesn't support anything or that he's like hateful or anything like that at all. It's all positive. It's all like, man, this is what the rainbow means to me. And I just thought that was really cool that he did.
So this, in case people don't know what we're talking about here, so there was a Pride Night, I think, in San Francisco, right, where the Arizona Diamondbacks were taking on the Giants. It was a rainbow hat Pride Night.
Which, by the way, too, the Dodgers did the same thing, and Blake Treinen, I believe, was the only exception to the rule who did not wear the Pride hat for that one game.
But it led to a controversy, and every outlet has covered it, which is wild.
Which has led to Major League Baseball issuing a warning that what was written, and it could have been a Bible verse or even, a hi mom or, RIP somebody, that writing on the uniform, Nick, is not allowed per the baseball guidelines.
Yeah, so it says several Giants pitchers in a statement of their faith wrote Bible verse designations on their hats. One starting pitcher, Landon Roop, addressed his reasoning after the game, saying that the verse is about representing God's convent. Let's see what else. Naturally, that public expression of Christian faith did not go over well with sports writers and his teammates. Well, those critics will be overjoyed to hear that Major League Baseball has now officially stepped in. Per The Athletic, an MLB official has now, quote, warned those players against violating the rules and writing on their cap. Quote, the writing on the cap violates our rules consistent with normal practice. We have warned the players about future violations. All right. I think we're getting a little off track a little bit here.
Yeah, I know. Yes, and I understand that it's that it's freedom of speech when it comes to expressing your faith, and we all do it in some different way though. But there's a time and place, and it's not during the month of June, especially when you have a Pride Night going on. And I know that the Texas Rangers have long forbid doing a Pride Night down in Texas. I think they're doing Faith and Family Weekend when they play the Padres. How ironic, this upcoming weekend down in Arlington against the Padres. But again, it's in the baseball rule book. It doesn't matter if it's a Bible verse or if you're, writing, RIP somebody, you cannot write on the uniform, sadly.
But is this kind of partially crossing a line slightly from the standpoint of, like, are you allowed to represent your freedom of religion? I'm not saying you should be able to write on the jersey, but can you wear like a cross or...
Yeah, and a lot of guys do, yeah.
But here's what I don't get about it. If you're not allowed to write on the hat and represent the religion, why is a cross any different than writing on the hat?
Because cross and jewelry is not part of the uniform. It's not the jersey, the pants, the hat, the socks, what have you, that the guys actually wear.
But I'm just saying, why don't they treat it the same way if they have an issue with people representing their religion publicly that way, I guess.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you.
I don't know. This is not helping baseball's case right now either.
No, and also partially this is why people that are, that are a part of that community always say that this is why we need to have this celebration every June because of stuff like this.
But that's not just a baseball problem. That's been a problem across professional sports. We've had issues with Pride Nights.
Yeah.
And
every time it happens.
To be honest, and like you and I've had this conversation before, if you don't like Pride Night, don't go to it and don't say anything about it. Like,
Yeah.
that's it. Like, it's part of the fabric and the culture that we're part of now. Like, Pride Night is bigger than ever in a lot
Yeah.
of places. If you don't like it, keep the opinion to yourself and go on with your day.
Yeah, but you can sacrifice missing one game if you don't agree with the franchise with a franchise doing something like Pride Night or Faith and Family Night or whatever it might be. It could be, something stupid, like bring your dog to the ballpark. If you don't like it, then don't ruin it for the rest of us that want to go to the game still.
Right. So it's amazing what people will speak out about today.
Yeah.
Also,
I already told you about my experiences last soccer season that, people that I knew didn't want to go to a particular game because SDFC was doing a Pride Night. It was literally just all they did was give out a luggage tag as a giveaway, and that was it. And they warmed up wearing pride-colored jerseys, and they wore their regular navy blue jerseys for the match. It's not that big of a deal.
You know what? It's interesting because, like, think about during COVID, okay, where people were wearing the Black Lives Matter shirt, or I can't remember the guy's name, the one who got attacked. Who was the guy that had the stomped on his throat?
Was that when they wore the "I Can't Breathe" shirts?
Yeah, but they also wore a free. I can't remember the guy's name, but which is bad.
You had that. Well, you had that. Then you also had, the WNBA with Breonna Taylor, for example, too, in the Wubble during their time in Florida during the pandemic as well.
Right, and I just think people listen. Professional athletes. George Floyd was the guy's name.
Yes,
and people were wearing the Free George Floyd and all that stuff. You have to remember, athletes have a very strong representation of themselves, whether it's politics, whether it's racial rights, religious rights. If you don't like it, don't go to the game.
I was going to say, why do you think, Nick? I always bring up the names of Ali, Russell, Jim Brown, and Kareem with how they were back in the 60s at the pinnacle of the American civil rights movement, that they were great athletes, but then people would throw stones through Bill Russell's house even after winning championships for the Celtics for all those years in Boston. Or how Ali, did not go to Vietnam, and I think they threw him in jail and stuff like that, and how they would, how those guys marched alongside King and George, and George Lewis and what have you. I even think, Nick, that we're working on a benchmarks episode involving Joe Lewis fighting Max Schmeling. That's the free world versus Nazi Germany, or Jesse Owens not getting, blowing away the competition in the 36 Olympic Games, and Adolf Hitler storms out of the damn stadium because an American black man beats his countrymen for Germany.
So all those athletes you mentioned had it very tough way back when the rules were different. The expectations were different. Black athletes were not treated as well back then. Now we're getting to a point where everything is becoming way better when it comes to representation. It's still not perfect.
No.
By
but
any
at least
means.
The efforts are being made nowadays to get this stuff out there.
The representation for everything, whether it's black versus white, religion, gay rights, we're doing a much better job as a society of being accepting. Is it perfect by any means? No. But at least now as a society, we're more open to what people want to represent themselves as. And it should be that we accept everything for what it is, but we don't. But you know what? If it's in the rules that you can't write on your jersey or your hat, or then that's on you for making that choice. And the team is partially at fault too for allowing it.
Yeah,
because they could have stopped it.
In the Dodgers and Giants, though I despise the Dodgers, they, Nick, these two franchises have been like the trailblazing organizations of baseball. I said this, I think, at one point with the Dodgers. they were the team that signed Jackie Robinson, for heaven's sakes, when they were back in Brooklyn, and that they did not care about what was going on, and that Branch Rickey made those guys in that locker room respect Jackie Robinson, and then, with Billy Bean, who I think was the first openly gay player being, with him playing and stuff. And I even think, Nick, that the Dodgers during that weekend against the Giants, they unveiled a permanent exhibit about two of the players that they had who were in fact gay. That's now on display now at Dodger Stadium. Like these two teams have been torchbearers about, social injustice, gay rights, what have you. And in a way that kind of, feels like it's a bit of a slap in the face, though, a little bit, that, here the Dodgers signed Jackie Robinson when no one would touch a black athlete back in the 40s. And that the Giants have had their own lineage of, great players who maybe were gay or what have you. And to not step in and intervene in some way, though, doesn't really feel right.
No. And could rules change in the future? Sure. But I don't see it change, especially now that the MLB and the MLBPA are going to be going to war.
Oh, I mean, they're already at war. What are we talking about?
Well, yeah. Well, by the way, we got an update on the current Sorsby situation and what's going to be happening. Brandon Sorsby will be having a pro day in Southlake, Texas at Carroll High School. And then on top of that, Pete Thamel was on the Pat McAfee show.
Mm-hmm.
And he's quoted as saying, "I expect all 32 teams to go to Brandon Sorsby's pro day."
You can't be serious.
What?
So Thamel said, I talked to his agent today, and he said it's more how many people are these teams going to send, not if they're all going to be represented. You know what? This goes back to the lowest common denominator theory that I had early on in the show, that people are going to say, he's at rock bottom. The value is going to be so low. I'd be stupid not to at least take a flyer and take a meeting.
Bloody hell, it is Harry Kane who scores for England in the 12th minute of play from the penalty spot. It is 1-0 Lions over Croatia. Welcome.
But it looks like all 32 teams are going to show up to Brandon Sorsby's pro day. Why?
Was on crack.
Well, I don't know if they're on crack. It's just, yeah.
Or better yet,
Make it make sense to me.
Please. Yes.
because so far I can't make sense of this whole scenario when it comes to why everyone is interested in Brandon Sorsby anymore.
I don't know either. But then we'll get to hour 3 after that initial story. But of course, Nick, once again, ESPN SportsCenter, again, heavily criticized for using AI slop to celebrate the Knicks' first NBA title, as NBA's primary digital and social brand at SportsCenter faced more public humiliation and heavy online blowback again after utilizing a deeply flawed, obviously artificial intelligence generated graphic to celebrate the Knicks NBA championship victory. The widely mocked image featured numerous classic AI Hall of Fame slop airs, including distorted fan anatomy, warped basketball seams, and also inconsistent text promoting intense criticism regarding the network's continuing degradation of real graphic design talent. So, Nick, following the first game of the NBA Finals with their AI graphic controversy, ESPN chose to double down with this championship graphic. At what point does the public embarrassment of publishing Uncanny Valley AI slop force the Disney company to finally implement a total ban on AI visuals within their primary social media newsrooms to finally cut the cord on that issue?
See, this is tough to comment on because we use AI to do a lot of stuff around here. So this is partially hypocritical us responding to this, but at least when we're doing stuff, we check everything. And if it's not to our satisfaction, we'll redo it and make sure the pictures are done correctly. Now, who knows if they're doing their due diligences to make sure everything is done right? The picture of Tony Parker.
Oh, that was awful. The one of Bill Russell was even more embarrassing.
The one of Bill Russell was bad. They got to do a better job of making sure everything that they put together, whether it's graphics, for sure, is at the highest quality. And when you use AI, you can actually give it pictures to connect together, which is probably what they didn't do. And they probably took the generated picture rather than, oh, they probably know who Tony Parker is, blah, 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 blah. You know what? ESPN has no right to be lazy. They have more workers than, say, like what our operation is, and we have to work as quick as we can to make sure we stay on task. So there's no excuses here whatsoever at all.
No, there isn't. And yes, I think everybody in some way, Nick, is embracing AI, but as the disclaimer says, Nick, they can make mistakes. The onus becomes on you, the user, to go back and double check everything. And for ESPN, Nick, the worldwide leader in sports, to become so damn lazy and falling asleep at the wheel that they rely on AI is awful. I mean, that as you said, they have enough employees in that workspace so they can have a graphic designer make those damn graphics look real and not fake like that.
Yeah, I mean, but again, am I surprised that they were
No.
trying to take some shortcuts? No. Like, AI helps you do things more efficiently, but you have to check for accuracy. Efficiency, you can't take efficiency over accuracy. That's something you got to be very careful of when it comes to representing content from a content perspective, logo perspective. You can't take shortcuts.
No.
So you just got to be very careful, and you got to do your due diligence and make sure what you're putting out is accurate. Plain and simple.
And ESPN has failed to do that, Nick. And I think it's just more of a embarrassing ordeal for the simple fact, again, that, AI doesn't know people yet still. Like they're still, it's a learning robot. It's a lot like Bob Parr fighting the giant robot in The Incredibles, that as it would battle Bob Parr, it kept getting better and better and better, better and better in The Incredibles movie, for example. That they're not going to know who Tony Parker is. As you said, though, unless you attach the images, as we usually do when we make our graphics for shows, that we add images of you and me, for example, or anyone else involved with shows, that it knows who is who when it comes to where things are at right now. That's not a good got here.
What?
That's not good when you're looking at your screen like that. What's going on here?
There's more information on the Cincinnati side of things.
Oh,
for the Sorsby situation. So we had read that quote from his agent that Cincinnati knew for 2 years and never said anything or didn't do anything as part of the story that gets lost. So there is a confirmation via multiple sources within the last hour when the prohibit alert, I guess that's the system they use,
yes,
was triggered in Cincinnati. The Bearcats' compliance did exactly what they were supposed to do. There was a clear paper trail of the investigation and education. UC had no further flags or evidence of active wagering at that point. So this is a battle of he said, she said, who did the right thing, who did the wrong thing.
And that went to my point that this whole thing has become he said, she said, they said, we said, you said.
But they're saying now that the prohibit alert did trigger Cincinnati and compliance did what they were supposed to, and there's a paper trail, but there was no further flags or evidence of active wagering.
Weird.
Unless they were just sweeping it under the rug.
Which wouldn't surprise me. Win-loss behavior.
No, I know, but so Cincinnati did know. They are confirming that Cincinnati got triggered by a bet alert, but they just didn't do enough.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't. This is going to be another story we're going to be on for a while,
Yeah.
I think, following everything. But let's move on. Speaking of cold-hearted or cold hard ice, let's talk a little hockey, shall we? So, historical blackout. CBC ending iconic NHL broadcast era. Yes.
Nick, I can't read the full story, but this did break within the last roughly hour or two. And I cannot read the full story from Sportico's Michael McCann. But as of Monday, the New England Patriots, Nick, are now the Patriots on Monday have sued the city of Foxborough, Mass., the town where their team facilities are located, for illegally scheming to raise what should be a $100 entertainment license renewal fee for Gillette Stadium for the stadium into a bill of nearly $1 million, per Michael McCann's reporting.
I heard this was going to happen. Like there was a battle over it. I don't know. That's going to go to court. That's going to go to court, and that's going to be a battle. There's not much we can really say about that now because we don't know full story.
Also, Nick, Justin Brinbaum of Sportico also says behind a paywall that the state of Missouri has set aside $42.5 million for a World Cup fix-up of Arrowhead Stadium in a lame duck year when the Chiefs and Royals perhaps will ditch the property for a new stadium.
Well, yeah, because the World Cup first of all, the World Cup is going to have to pay for a lot of the places where they're chewing up the fields. So whatever profits they make, some of it's going to have to go to fix these fields that are NFL stadiums.
And also, Nick, we saw this break last night, but Floyd Money Mayweather is now facing charges for writing a bad check for $200,000 per reports.
Yeah, and I think the charge is technically anything over $10,000. I think was the actual charge, but it became a $200,000 fraud check. This guy can't catch a break at all, and it's all his own doing.
Yeah,
by the way, but and he's supposed to have a fight with Pacquiao
in September.
Yeah, I don't know if I see that happening anytime soon.
So Floyd just wants the money bag to go run around the ring and hug Pacquiao for 12 rounds and then call it a day and get paid.
Well, he doesn't need the money anyway, to be honest with you. But to get back to the story at hand, an unprecedented somber milestone has hit the international hockey media landscape. The Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, CBC, has officially announced it will completely terminate its legacy NHL television broadcast, ending a legendary near 75-year run that defined the cultural fabric of Canadian winter sports media. The operational shift marks the final corporate surrender of public broadcasting to private telecom conglomerates in the hockey rights arena. For generations of fans, Hockey Night in Canada on the CBC was the undisputed holy grail of sports broadcasting. Does this final termination signal the absolute tragic death of traditional public service sports broadcasting in North America? Or is it simply the inevitable conclusion of a hyper-monetized rights fees?
I mean, if you thought SNF was a big thing in this country, Nick, or Monday Night Football, Hockey Night in Canada, Nick, was a spectacle. I've talked to, people that, are from Canada, that, we had Lee Hacksaw Hamilton on the show months ago, and he lived on the island. And he said that he grew up, though, watching Hockey Night in Canada because they got the CBC, down, in New York back in the day of the early days of the NHL or when he was growing up, though. And that he's a Maple Leafs fan because they were always on TV. And that might be like when the Braves were on TBS for all those years or the Cubs being on WGN for all those years, that he can pick up their games across the nation. And, Nick, I documented BJ McPherson's injury from May of 2001 on Small Market Edition. BJ grew up in Eastern Canada, and he said that you could walk down the street in the middle of the wintertime, and every store had TVs in front of it. They all had HN or HNIC on, and you would stop walking to watch the gameplay, or you would sneak into the Forum back in Montreal or go to Toronto, that it became a civic institution. And I think, though, Nick, that it is kind of a somber day for hockey fans that live in Canada, that the CBC will no longer have, NHL rights for the games on television. We heard some stuff that was happening, maybe involving like other partners, maybe what have you. But that would, Nick, though, be like somebody not getting, or that they suspend, or they pull SNF off the air for the American sports fan, for example. That it became a part of your Saturday, from what I have been told by people who lived back there, who lived through CBC. And, obviously, Don Cherry, was the big guy on, on Hockey Night in Canada, that it was a part of your Saturday ritual. That would be like there being no college football on TV on Saturdays, or no NFL on Sundays. So, I mean, I'm not, sadly, though, Nick, with where things are going with the media, this is not much of a surprise, sadly, and it sucks.
Well, it sounds like the NHL already got a new deal, too. I'm trying to find where I put the story. But I think it was like a $7.7 billion deal for...
Yes.
I mean, holy cow. I mean, the CBC probably just couldn't afford it.
I agree.
So, and they were already sub-licensing to Prime Video, and I think to a French network, Canadian French network. So they made their money. I mean, hey, $7.7 billion. Yes.
We have a trade already, Nick, in the National Hockey League. Again.
Yeah.
The Buffalo Sabres are sending Michael Kesselring to San Jose, and the teams are swapping late first-round picks along with the trade being made. Kesselring is 26 years old and is in the final year of a 2-year, $2.8 million contract he signed with Utah back in 2024. So Kesselring to the Sharks in a swap of picks, with the Sabres now picking 20th in round 1. And the Sharks fall back to 27 now with that trade, per the NHL app.
Really? Wow.
I was going to say, if that would have been the number 2 pick, then I would have clowned Mike Greer so damn hardly if that would have happened.
By the way, there's some other news, too. Cameron Brink is expected to miss some time after suffering another left ankle sprain.
Oh, man. Well, thankfully it wasn't an ACL.
She can't catch a break, can she?
No, she's had some back problems. She had the ripped ACL in her first season, missed the whole year last year. Has looked great so far for LA as the season has wore on so far.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. With that, Nick, we'll go to all things NASCAR coming up on Sunday. But of course, Nick, breaking entirely away from traditional venue playbooks, NASCAR set to pull off a high-concept military integrated street race spectacle with the upcoming Andoril 250 taking place right here in San Diego on the runway and tarmac of Naval Base Coronado in San Diego, California. Partnering with defense tech powerhouse Anduril Industries and San Diego-based tech from Qualcomm, the event represents a massive, multi-layered marketing collision of high-octane motorsport racing, national defense contracting, and an active military base activation for America's 250th birthday. Nick, coming off UFC Freedom 250, moving a live racing grid onto an active duty defense base with a defense tech title sponsor is a incredibly aggressive, but also avant-garde corporate maneuver. Does this, though, open up a radical new frontier for hyper-monetized, government-adjacent sporting events like UFC Freedom 250, or does it cross a weird line into commercializing active military assets across the nation?
I mean, you kind of took the words out of my mouth slightly with UFC Freedom 250 being done on the White House lawn and all that setup they had to do, where they did all the fighter walk-ups through the Oval Office and down the presidential hall and all that stuff. Is it interesting? Sure. But I feel like sometimes some of this stuff, and including UFC Freedom 250, like, I think they tried a little too hard from the standpoint of not avoiding the political narratives that come with either being on a naval base or being at the White House, people are instantly going to turn these into political fortitudes.
By the way, here is what the layout will look like for the Anduril 250 here coming up on Sunday. So they are literally, folks, going 16 turns, 3.4 miles around the entire base of Naval Air Station North Island, literally blocks away from the Navy from where the Navy SEALs train here in San Diego. This is across the water from downtown. And Nick, here is a look at the track layout. It's a 16-turn race, and also Nick includes turn 5, carrier corner. You're going to be seeing these guys, Nick, zip by the active duty U.S. Navy carriers that are in the harbor here in San Diego coming up on Sunday on Prime Video.
Wow. That's kind of crazy, actually. Damn.
I mean, this is pretty insane about how they have this whole thing laid out.
I mean, if they can pull it off, great. Like I said, I hope they don't turn these things political, which is what happened with UFC Freedom 250, where unfortunately they turned some of the narrative political. You don't want political narratives. To be honest, I wouldn't even invite political media, which unfortunately showed up to the UFC Freedom 250 fight. Just let the race be. Is it cool that it's on a naval base? Yeah, sure, it is.
And Nick, this went to a point, though, that I brought up. We'll keep this up for a bit longer here so people can kind of take a look at how this race will play out on Sunday here from Naval Base Coronado. But, Nick, you might recall that this past Friday, we documented the closure of Auto Club Speedway in Fontana, California, and that NASCAR has tried to figure out how do we get back to the second largest media market in Southern California, or California in general, Nick, for a NASCAR race not named Sonoma, as you said about Jimmy Johnson going to be covering that race for the first time as an analyst, which, by the way, this race is in Jimmy's backyard and will be the final race of his great career, though, as I also documented on Small Market Edition. But, Nick, you also, I think, have been trying to figure out maybe how would NASCAR get back to SoCal with them closing down Auto Club Speedway, the sale of the property. The project has been long stalled because of environmental impact reports and politics, and, you know, the products of there being like warehouses there and stuff like that. And they tried the race at the LA Coliseum, where I believe the numbers were that 40% of people that were at the event were at a NASCAR race for the first time in their entire lives. Now, though, Nick, this also, I think, just causes a bit of a headache, though. How does the public gain access to the actual base during the course of the weekend? I've already read some emails I've gotten about, you know, try to take alternate transportation, take the ferry over, like don't bring your vehicle over. And then you have to pay for parking around the base property to get onto the actual tarmac for the event. And I know that tickets were still fairly cheap for the event, but still, Nick, I'm a little more, I think, hesitant about this really taking off, pun intended here. But I love what they're trying to do, though. But I think there's a lot of hurdles, though, much like the fight card on Sunday. But I think that they only opened the White House lawn, Nick, to special dignitaries, you know, like the president, Dana White, you know, other political figures, though, but that the public was kept at bay, literally and figuratively, though, away from the event, though, at the giant watch parties.
Well, that's what I'm going to say. I don't think you're going to have tickets or public audience. It's not going to be open to a fan base to come watch. I think what'll happen is all the families, all the media. I think it's going to be all that. I don't think you're going to see any fans unless they do it like across the way somewhere where people can watch on a big board. Yeah. I just don't see how you can open this to fans. There's just no way. There's not enough room.
Yeah, let me go and try and check Ticketmaster real quick just to kind of see where the sales are at, because I've been very intrigued about how would this race, you know, sell across the board when it comes to the full weekend of, you know, the race on Saturday, the race on Sunday. You know, it's the final race of the year for Prime Video before it goes back to regular cable television, you know, so on and so forth. So just give me like a few minutes here to figure this out real quick for Sunday. So as I go to Ticketmaster right now, Nick, what we have at hand is tickets are still for sale, Nick, and they have jumped to over $220.
Oh, my God.
Across the whole base, including at turn 5 where the carriers are at. Nick, this, though, shot up from being a $80 event 3 weeks ago now to over $270 for one ticket to get on the debase.
I just don't see how they're going to be able to put a lot of fans there. Right?
Christy, the next thing you know, there'll be a major event on an Air Force base. They already had one, I think, involving the Kings playing the Avalanche at the Air Force Academy in Colorado Springs a couple years ago for an outdoor hockey game.
Yeah, they did. Yep.
Or when baseball played that game on the military base in North Carolina a couple years ago with Pittsburgh playing Philly, I think, or something along those lines.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, this is, believe me, this is going to inject some great money into, the local economy for the week with all the NASCAR fans coming here or whatnot. I mean, I might put the race on Sunday if I feel like it, but I don't know about this. And I think, Nick, that you're right. You hope that it doesn't become a spectacle for all the wrong reasons, a la what we saw, though, on Sunday from the White House. But it's a little weird. I don't think, though, Nick, this is not the way that you bring NASCAR back to a market that needs to have it in Southern California like this because of Auto Club closing down.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, hopefully they can figure out how to do the event and do it properly without politicking and just doing things the right way. Because if it becomes a politicking event, I'm just going to have no interest whatsoever at all. Like, I watched the UFC Freedom 250 event because I wanted to see the fights. But, like, in between all the fights, they were doing all the George Washington history and stuff. Like, they were trying too hard to make the historical significance over the event over the actual quality of the events, when the first time in the history of the UFC, every fight ended in a knockout.
So it appears that the president is currently not scheduled to be there, but they might send some dignitaries still from the White House or what have you to the event here at Naval Base at the Naval Base. But with that, though, Nick,
oh, you beat me to it.
Crow has tied it up in the 36th minute on a goal by Martin Baturnia after Harry Kane put England on top 1-0 in the 12th minute. So here we go again, a 1-1 tie, 37 minutes into the match in Dallas.
I hope it ends in a draw.
Just so I can send the Sir Patrick Williams gift back to the ETP chat for there being another effing draw. But with that in mind, though, folks, if you're looking for the plus money edge, Connor Rowland and Nate Miller have you covered on unnecessary wagers every Friday, barring this week, at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific time. They break down the tactical ripple effects of the week's biggest matchups, from the underdog effect in the World Cup to the emerging powerhouses in baseball. They look past the box scores to find hidden value. Whether it's the math behind a 4-leg stabilizer or the chaos of a 6-leg lottery ticket, they find the trends that you need to know. Gamble informed with UW every Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific time, only on the ETB Network. Again, make sure to like and subscribe over at youtube.com/ETB Network. Nick, we have that bit of a small little issue right now involving the program because of the Team USA playing on Friday, but they have done a great job though during the slow season right now for UW. They've been a really great ad for that show right now at this time.
Yeah, now that it's a full year show, and we remember there's more than just March Madness and football. We get the full year round show full year round. So they've been doing a good job, and hopefully Connor's going to be helping us do some other stuff. Hopefully soon, rather than later. But that's a conversation for another day. But tune into the show every Friday, 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific. Looking at maybe even doing the show earlier or later, but I have to see if Connor's working on Friday. So might have to be later to see.
Nick, I found a story here as we fill some time until 1:45 from Awful Announcing.
Yeah.
Puck's John Oren does in fact have knowledge, Nick, that Mike Breen might begin to scale back his workload come next season.
Yeah, so I did see that story. Um, so Breen, which by the way probably had the best of both worlds because he was covering the Knicks in the NBA Finals. He's the lead. But
110 games he called this year for the NBA.
and that includes all the travel back and forth between New York and all the.
Wherever else he was working at, exactly.
There's just no way he's going to be able to. That schedule is going to be impossible to continue. He said, clearly, I still love it so much, and there's nothing better than doing the big national games. He said, Madison Square Garden is like a second home to me. Calling games there for the local team, it's a wonderful thing. And if you ask any national broadcaster who's had a chance to go and do some local telecasts as well, there's something so wonderful about being around a team and watching how they develop on a day in, day out basis. So, yes, I might cut back soon, but I still love to do it. As long as the people at ESPN and MSG still want to hear me yapping away, I'm good with that.
Exactly.
I don't know what you do there, to be honest. He might have. He's probably gonna have to cut down on the Knick games, probably,
I wonder if he'll have to. Exactly.
because that's got to be hard with having a local job and doing national games. Like Ian Eagle was doing the Nets for a long time, but now he's doing Prime Video. He's the lead Prime Video for the NBA. He's on NFL on CBS. He does Westwood One Monday Night Football. I don't know how much. Like he basically had to cut his net games down to like 10 or 15 a season.
Nick, can we laugh at this next story I found?
What?
Stephen A. Smith mistakenly saying that France has never won the World Cup on First Take this morning.
He said France is going to win the World Cup?
No, he said that France has never won the World Cup.
Really? Really?
We have the video. We have the video, by the way, Nick, real quick from this. I want to pull it up so we can listen to this malarkey from Stephen A. Give me a sec.
Oh, God.
Courtesy of awful announcing. By the way, and this, again, came in wake, though, real quick. Hang on, I'm not ready yet. This, though, came in wake, though, Nick, of the simple notion that, again, we had that story breakout regarding that Fox was, crying wolf about ESPN not covering the World Cup. Well, folks, here's what ESPN thinks of the World Cup with Stephen A. Smith.
But really, for me, it's about Mbappe for France. He scored 2 goals yesterday. Okay, remember, he scored a hat trick in the finals loss to Argentina in 2022. I'm wondering whether or not this is the year for France. Is it? I mean, I'm thinking about France because of Wemby and how he just went home in the NBA Finals. I'm wondering what France is going to do. Could this be the year that they finally get it done and they win the World Cup, considering Mbappe and what we saw him do yesterday and what we know he's capable of doing because he's done it before? But really, for me, it's about Mbappe for France.
Okay. We get it. Ooh.
What?
Stephen. Yeah. France won the World Cup in 2018, Nick, in Russia with Mbappe on the roster. And also, by the way, bloody hell once again, sir. But it is Harry Kane who scores again for England in the 42nd minute to give England the lead again over Croatia 2-1 from Dallas, Texas.
And if I'm not mistaken, that's referred to as a brace.
That is a brace for Harry Kane, who has 2 goals in half an hour, and the Lions are back on top of Croatia 2-1 from Arlington.
See? Unlike a certain idiot who's not here anymore, I can learn my terms on sports I don't know.
Well, you also didn't pay ASU to go to a class about soccer for $25 either, so there you go.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Really?
He's paying to go to a class about soccer.
How about just watch soccer?
Oh, no, it's too easy.
Come on. Brace is 2 goals. A hat trick is 3 goals. Come on, man. Seriously. Good
So
Lord.
England back on top of Croatia 2-1, 2 goals by Harry Kane for the Lions. That is their nickname, folks. Not Detroit. Sorry, Connor. They're called the Lions too in England. They now lead 2-1 right before the end of halftime in Dallas.
All right, let's move into press clippings. First story out of the gates. Rick Bucher slamming Skip Bayless over manufactured villain tropes and so Victor Wembanyama, it was a story about Victor Wembanyama, but national basketball media veteran Rick Bucher launched a fierce defense of a young global phenom, Victor Wembanyama, directly calling out Skip Bayless in a wave of national sports shows for aggressively trying to manufacture a toxic villain narrative around the young star. Bucher lambasted the trend as clickbaiting for clickbaiting's sake, arguing that the industry's desperate institutional need to tear down wholesome superstars is destroying real basketball journalism. Bucher is throwing heat at his former FS1 contemporaries here, but is he right? Has modern studio sports media become so deeply broken that we are completely incapable of covering a generational talent without trying to force them into an unnatural, toxic antagonist box just to fill airtime segments?
I'm a dumbass.
This is so stupid, like in every way, shape, or form.
Why do we always have to have hero villains in sports? Like, Wemby has done nothing but great things for the Spurs organization, if you ask me, who, again, they've won 5 rings, so you're not going to amputate them from the NBA because they're a small market city, for God's sakes. But I just, again, I think Rick Bucher, Nick, is bullseye. Some people like Leung and Bayless and Smith, all they want to chase is clout, clicks, and viewership numbers, and that's it.
Well, it's ironic then what the nickname that Isaiah goes by, in case you want to tell them in case people don't know
Yeah,
it.
he goes by the Asian Skip Bayless.
Gee, doesn't that sound ironic, doesn't it?
Very much so.
You know what? Skip Bayless is a hack. I've said this for a long time. I mean, I think he still holds the record for the most impressions on a tweet over the whole DeMar Hamlin situation, saying that the Bills and the Bengals should have continued to play their game.
Right.
Which, by the way, the whole world knew that game was never going to continue. But you know what? There's another issue I take with this too, which is, so like I was listening to the radio going to the gym today. I listened to I listen to Mad Dog Radio a lot. And I hear Adam Shine, who I like, by the way. But Adam Shine is like going off on Wemby, calling him dirty and disgusting and awful and whatnot. And like I'm in the car with my father, I'm driving, listening to this thing. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, I get it. Like, people don't like the way he played. He was a little bit rough around the edges, and definitely the officiating missed the flagrant call on the landing space of Jalen Brunson. But I don't love this whole thing that after the fact, the Spurs lose the series, and now you're going to kick Wembanyama while he's down? Like, you wouldn't say this if the Spurs had won the series.
Of course not.
So I have an issue with the fact that you're calling him all these names, and all because the Knicks won.
Right.
And Shine's a Knicks fan. I just want to warn you of that first.
Of course.
But I agree with you. Can we stop with all this nonsense of hero versus villain? How about just team versus team? How about we just Yankees versus Red Sox, Dodgers versus Giants, like Knicks versus Nets? Like, there could be rivalries, but why do we have to have hero versus villain?
Right.
I feel like it's unnecessary. It's, you know why? Because we live in a content-driven society where we need to butt people up against one another for headlines.
Precisely.
It has nothing to do with the game. Like, how many times do we have to hear Caitlin Clark versus Angel Reese?
Too damn many.
And it's not even entertaining.
No.
He's been a hack and a jerk for years. Yes. But my point is, those teams have been awful.
And usually they're one-sided in favor of Clark and the Fever.
And also, Angel Reese is just not as good a player as everyone advertised her to be. Caitlin Clark, if it wasn't for being hurt, would have absolutely dominated the crap out of Angel Reese every single time. She's the better player. And the only reason the WNBA artificially turned it into a rivalry was because of the national championship game.
Right.
You can't see me. I won. Okay. You won one title. Big deal. Caitlin Clark, I think, is beating you in every other shape or form in the W.
Correct. Which, by the way, they've already played one game, and the Fever already won again, 83-71 back earlier this month.
Did she play?
They play again tomorrow.
But did she play?
They both played.
And I guarantee you, without even looking at it, I'm sure Caitlin Clark dominated Angel Reese.
11 points for Reese. Clark had 17.
I mean, that's not domination fully, but still. We try way too hard on rivalries. Yankees versus...
Just when you think that the game can't get any more loony, Croatia ties it up in stoppage time. Petar Musa, 45th plus 6 minutes of play. 2-2 England and Croatia from Arlington.
With 5 minutes of stoppage time going right now in the first half.
My goodness, what a day already. And there's still 2 more games.
Come on, I'm hoping for that draw again.
All right, Nick, back to the task at hand, though. Expanding their rapidly growing sports media production empire far past football, Peyton Manning's Omaha Productions has now officially signed a multi-year deal to produce the World Series of Poker for ESPN. Omaha plans to heavily monetize the legacy tournament broadcast with specialized player access, mic'd-up tables, and high-profile commentary formats mirroring their success with the Manning cast. Nick, Omaha has completely revolutionized how alternate sports broadcasts look and feel. Can Peyton Manning's creative team successfully inject modern mainstream entertainment value into long-form poker coverage, or is the World Series of Poker a niche legacy product that won't benefit from the Manning cast treatment? I think this is actually going to be good.
I think this might be a home run because, one, ESPN doesn't have to be the full focus of the production. Yeah, I saw it. But I think this is a home run because the production team for Omaha Productions will take it over. They'll do all the work. They've done an amazing job with all the video podcasting stuff they've done. They've done a lot of some E60 stuff, some documentary stuff. Yes.
We have breaking news, Nick, involving the National Women's Soccer League. Per ESPN soccer writer Jeff Kassoff, Sam Kerr is set to rejoin Gotham FC, per reports gathered by ESPN.
Ah, okay.
So Sam Kerr, who spent 6 years with the English side of Chelsea, who won the Women's Super League Golden Boot, along with 5 league titles and six different domestic cups, who played her final game in May for Chelsea, is coming back to Gotham FC.
Interesting. Okay.
Who I will see play the 4th of July against the Wave when they come back from their World Cup break on July 4th here in San Diego.
Oh, man. That's interesting. Okay.
That game's not until later in the evening, so I can do the show in the morning.
Yes.
This part I agree with, actually, though.
No, they're going to do a good job. Omaha Productions has been amazing, and I think a deal is coming up with them soon, but like ESPN is, because there was a whole thing about how McAfee's deal is coming up. They're going to pay $60 million a year, and that's a licensed show. But look at Omaha Productions. I mean, the amount that they're getting production-wise, they're doing a lot of the ESPN podcasts, helping out with that productive side.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to look this up really quick just to make sure I have this info. Let's see. What is Omaha Productions producing? Let's take a look.
Oh, Peyton's places for 1, the Manning cast for 2, Abby's places for 3,
Right. The alternative telecasts, the megacast for Manningcast, docuseries for Netflix and ESPN, live events. They're actually producing the NFL honors
Yes.
and also the NFL flag championships, along with the World Series of Poker. They're also developing projects for streaming and broadcast, notably by Hulu series Chad Powers, which is originated from a skit on Eli's Places. And then they have a bunch of other stuff. Big brand that ESPN is now working with, and they're doing a lot of production for them. Yes.
Nick, Heather Dinich of ESPN says that leaders of the CFP took a deeper dive into conversations about expanding the field of 24 teams at a meeting held today in Denver. But there are still, though, more questions than answers about the logistics of what the field would look like if it began in 2027, per Rich Clark telling ESPN's Heather Dinich on Wednesday. Clark said in part that ESPN executives who attended the meeting, along with industry consultants, but they did not put any dates on paper to see how a 2014 field would play out in the 2027 calendar, and did not actually get into the numbers as far as the revenue model would go. So we're still, I think, a long ways away from that ever becoming resolved.
Oh man. Well, guess we'll see what happens. I don't want more teams.
Yeah, I don't either. Nick, with that in mind, though, Nick, former U.S. women's national team superstar and San Diego Wave FC icon and minority owner Alex Morgan is now utilizing a major new commercial platform to settle old media scores in a new high-production DraftKings prediction market advertisement for California. Morgan takes a very nice, highly sarcastic swipe at legacy British and American sports journalist who expressed their outrage over her iconic, elegant, sipping a cup of tea goal celebration against England during the 2019 FIFA Women's World Cup on her birthday. Nick, it's been 7 years since that happened, and Morgan is still weaponizing it for a massive sports betting commercial. Does this showcase how elite modern athletes are increasingly utilizing direct brand partnerships to permanently mock and bypass traditional media criticisms of their playing career and their past?
Well, yeah, they're using more digital platforms like the gambling networks and a lot of other different things. You don't need traditional TV to get your message out anymore. I mean, heck, some athletes are running their own digital media because they don't want to share their stuff with the TV networks. If they can control their message and their narrative on their own accord, they'll do it by themselves. So yeah, the digital media is more the route to go today than it is the digital media.
I love I love the commercial. By the way, that was shot at UC San Diego Soccer Stadium, which is in La Jolla, not the campus I work on. Because there was a video that came out later from her PR rep, who I happen to know very well, Laura Wolfstein, who's done a great job with Alex's foundation. A video came out after the shoot, Nick, of her shooting 3 balls from 20 yards out and landing all 3 in garbage cans.
Wow.
With pinpoint accuracy.
Well, still a soccer player, right?
I mean, got it. I mean, I love it, and Nick, that's a very good, interesting, segue. That coming up, I think later this month, I'm documenting for Benchmarks the 99 FIFA Women's World Cup, which saw Team USA win it, but also about how Brandi Chastain's celebration for ripping off her jersey and being in her sports bra had the same kind of reaction from the old guard and new guard about, oh, this is marketing by Nike. This is not ladylike. This would have, set Isaiah Leung's hair on fire like he's Hades and Hercules, about, oh, you can't celebrate like that. You're a woman. We don't want to see your sports bra because you won the World Cup. Like, I love the jabs, though, that it's taken. But also, Nick, the 99 team was built differently at that time. That
right.
Team that Morgan was on in 19 was built differently. Who cares about it being, ladylike behavior? It's a damn soccer match. You won the World Cup. You should be going bananas and bonkers when you win the damn tournament.
No, I agree. I mean, I just think he's a moron because he doesn't like celebration and passion. It's what are you supposed to do when you win a major match in soccer?
I win World Cup. Yay for me and my country.
Well, that's just ridiculous and stupid. But like, when you win the World Series, Isaiah, I'll give you an example too. So when your 5 million baseball teams win a World Series? Are you gonna jump and yell and scream and do a live stream video when they win the World Series?
Of course he is.
Or are you gonna be a robot and say, "My team won the World Series, yay"? Yeah, you're gonna do a video that celebrates them winning the World Series, even though you root for half the league.
Yeah, he roots for everybody not named San Diego, California. That's just how it works.
Or I don't know, what is he a fan of in the NBA? I lost track.
I think the Lakers and the Suns and the Knicks and the Celtics and the
So he's
whole league.
so he's a fraud. Okay.
Yeah, nothing new.
My point is, you're gonna root when you're on a team and your goal is to win the World Cup for the women. When you complete the goal, when you complete the long-standing goal, you're gonna be all the happiness is gonna come out because you won. Okay, that's what we do in sports. You don't play sports just to say I showed up.
Precisely.
So I don't know, man. By the way, my nightmare is about to come true. Where's that sound?
No.
According to the New York Post, the Jets are favorites to gamble, no pun intended, on disgraced quarterback Brendan Sorsby in the NFL Supplemental Draft. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I'm already a miserable Jet fan. You're going to make it worse for me? Really? I swear, if I see that the Jets draft Brendan Sorsby in the NFL Supplemental Draft, I'm protesting my Jets fandom for the entire season. I am protesting my Jets fandom for the entire season if I find out that Brendan Sorsby gets drafted in the Supplemental Draft. I'm going to warn this now. I'm sounding the alarms on this. I'll do it again just so you get my point. This is going to get ugly. I'm going to warn you now if he gets drafted by the Jets.
Oh, my God.
And screw you, New York Post. Stop making it come to fruition.
It might be time.
No, I'm not a Frank the Tank fraud. I don't switch teams. I'm not a Nets fan who decided to become a Knicks fan and then cheer like I won the title. Seriously? I got... Make it stop. It's going to get ugly. I already told Callan I'm going to be insufferable for a week if I find out he gets drafted by the Jets.
I never should have made the joke last night, but yet here we are. I'm so sorry.
Oh, it's not your fault. Screw you. Screw you, New York Post. Damn it.
Well, and screw the Jets for being a terribly run franchise. How about that?
I don't know. It might be the end of an era as me being a Jets fan. And speaking of the end of an era,
yes,
legendary Lakers PA voice Lawrence Tanter announces his retirement after 43 seasons. The iconic acoustic fabric of the Los Angeles basketball history is shifting. The Los Angeles Lakers officially announced that legendary public address announcer Lawrence Tanter will retire from the microphone after an astonishing 43 seasons behind the scores table. Thoughts?
I paid tribute to LT on Tuesday. Nick, because, I mean, sadly, Lawrence suffered a stroke at the very end of the season, and a lot of people were even saying that he didn't look very good in person before he had the stroke happen before the season ended. And that may have been the first time that he missed a game in any capacity, minus the COVID bubble. As I said on Tuesday, he's still worked from home to record all those intros for the Laker players as time went on. And I wrote a very lengthy Substack, though, Nick, about Lawrence's career, though, man. This is a guy who went from being a jazz DJ in Chicago to becoming the voice of Laker basketball and NBA basketball as a whole. By the way, they're giving him a role as the special advisor for game presentation alongside my good man, Chris Canaan, who's the leader of the game presentation team for the Lake Show. But I mean, Nick, more importantly, 43 years, 16 conference titles, 10 NBA championships in his tenure as the Laker PA voice. But also, of course, Nick, as we know very well, he was the anti-cheerleader and anti-loudmouth when it came to doing the job.
And I think that's the best way. You don't want someone who's a homer doing that. Like, because you hear it all the time where, like, you hear in different NBA arenas, yeah. And then when the other team scores, like it sounds like a bad version of bipolar when you're announcing. Like, I'm really happy on this side, but I'm really don't care on this side.
Yeah.
But 43 years, though, like, that's an incredible run. Like,
I mean, that's a lot of history, man. As I wrote in the Substack yesterday, just things that he would say, just, come to mind, about, the cadence of how he would say, Kobe Bryant, or even, and everybody wins tacos from Jack in the Box. Or my favorite, though, Nick, that you love, the New York Knickerbockers.
oh,
Or Laker girls.
That's awkward.
There's just things that just come to mind, though, about what Lawrence meant, though. And, certainly you hate to hear that health is why he had to step away from the job. That reminds me of when Chick Hearn missed his first game after like 3,000 plus in a row called. It took triple bypass heart surgery for Chick to miss a ball game back in like 2001, I think, before he passed away in 2002. So it'll be certainly, Nick, a new era begins for the Lakers in a different way, even though they're going to re-sign LeBron James per reports gathered last night from KABC Channel 7.
Yeah, I'll believe that when it actually happens. Yes, he's iconic. Yeah,
and as I said, we're still trying to get Ray Clay, the voice of the Bulls, back in the Jordan era to join us, but we've had some scheduling problems with Ray and his schedule for a couple of Wednesdays. So we're trying our best to get back in touch with him.
Did I hear you correctly on Cranium say the Lakers person also?
I do know Chris Cunan, yes. We worked together briefly with the Clippers minor league club in Ontario, California.
So why don't you reach out to him and see if we can get Lawrence on the show?
I'll see what I can do.
Because that would be kind of sick, actually, to just talk about like the Laker history and maybe just the story behind like the monotone like call, and maybe ask him like, why do you hear like the overexcited for the home calls as opposed to the? I'd be curious because I used to say that all the time when I used to hear the Laker games. I'd be like,
right,
it's like very monotone sounding. I'm like, where is the? It's because I was so used to the other things that
3-point goal.
Oh God, don't give me.
And then Olivier Sitter to call in the Nets games for them on PA. Yes,
I like the Nets guy. I thought he did.
Olivier's a great guy. He's awesome. I know him very well too. He's great.
But no, hey, if we can get him on the show, that would be legendary for sure. Imagine if we got Bulls and the Lakers.
What if we got them on the same show?
That would be hard. That'd be hard. I'd do it. It would be cool, no doubt. But as you said, like sometimes the schedules don't officially work out. Before we go beyond the highlights with a personality-driven look at the games you love. Join Zambando for Bando's breakdowns every Friday. Well, this is actually changing in a couple of weeks. So it'll be every Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. Zan dives deep into the tape, focusing on bracket-busting collegiate performances, individual brilliance on the court, and the trending news that everyone else is talking about. It's a masterclass in sports commentary that prepares you for the week ahead with expert analysis and a point of view you won't hear anywhere else. only on the Empty the Bench Network. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/ETB Network. Again, new start time in 2 weeks. It will be live every Thursday, 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific, on the Empty the Bench Network YouTube channel and our family of X channels. So make sure you don't miss the live version going forward of Bando's breakdowns. And like I said, coming up on Sunday, Zanzinger Part 2 special interview with PFL CEO John Martin, 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific on Sunday for Zanzinger Part 2.
Woo!
Okay. We made it to the end of the show. Thank you to everybody who's watched. 160 people in the room right now as we made it to the end of the show. Next show is June 24th, the first show into the official summer.
Yes.
So make sure you join us. This is kind of the weird time, like I said, of the year. No NBA, no NHL, no NFL, no college football. We are in kind of the dead period, so we'll be able to talk some other stuff.
Wait, what the hell? Hold on a second.
What?
Hold the presses.
What?
Do we think this is a real report, Nick?
Share it to me in the press row Slack quickly, and I'll tell you.
Oh my God! Well, it involves your football team again, so I don't know if I buy this notion, but let's go and see what we got here.
Oh, that's fake. I saw
I was
that
gonna
already.
say the Long Island Jets.
No, that's fake. That's fake.
Oh God!
That's why they say you don't believe everything you read on the internet.
Oh man, that would be pretty funny, actually.
But make sure you follow the show on social media at Press Row ETB across all social media platforms. Follow the Empty the Bench Network at ETB Network, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Follow our YouTube channel, youtube.com/ETB Network. Like and subscribe. 1,125 subscribers and climbing. Help us with our watch hours, almost to 2,500 and growing to get to that 4,000 hour watch goal so we can really.
Oh my God. We might kill Andres Contour before the day is over, but Jude Bellingham has scored for England in the 47th minute of gameplay in the second half. Can the Lions finally hold the damn bloody hell lead over Croatia? They now lead 3-2.
Well, that's your last update because the show is getting ready to conclude for today. As we said, next show, June 24th, 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. We will be back. We'll be in the... Will we still be in the second round of the World Cup at that point or no?
Oh, yeah, we'll still be in the group stage. Got a long way to go.
Oh, man. Okay.
For those wondering, by the way, the last groups, Group K and Group L, finally started their tournament today. So we still have 2 more weeks at least of group play action coming up here.
That's crazy. If the U.S. wins, though, are they through automatic?
If they win, they're pretty much going to be locked into either the 1 or 2 spot.
How many make it? I think 3 make it out of the groups.
Top 2 for sure. The third team is very iffy depending on rankings. Right now, they have some of the rankings put out right now, and I think the Dutch would be the number 1 seed right now from the third place pool right now.
Ah, interesting. Okay.
So if you're top 2, you're guaranteed to get through. It's just a matter of the third teams. It comes down to rankings and a bunch of tiebreakers.
So I guess, just win, damn it. That's all we can say.
Just win, baby.
So that'll do it for the show. He's Callan McClurg. I'm Nick Morgasen. Again, June 24th. We are back. Same time, same place, across the Empty the Bench Network platforms. And that'll do it. So have a good day, everybody. We will see you next week.
Have a great day.